general elections and then be ready to lead and govern the United States Senate from day one. We've got some key candidates in red states, states where every single statewide elected official is a Republican, except for their Senate Democrats. And that would be John Tester in Montana. We recruited Tim Sheehy. He's endorsed by President Trump, Navy SEAL, graduate of the Naval Academy, successful businessman. His wife is also a Marine from the Naval Academy. That race is neck and neck. That's a tight race in a state that Trump is going to win by 15 to 20 points. In Ohio, where again, every single statewide official is a Republican except for Sherrod Brown. We've got a great candidate there in Bernie Moreno. He's also endorsed by President Trump. He's a successful businessman. He's an outsider. Both of these states, Montana and Ohio, are states that have got increasingly redder since the last time both John Tester and Sherrod Brown ran. With Trump at the top of the ticket, it gives us some optimism that there's a couple seats there that are going to be very competitive and possible pickups.
An issue weighing heavily on voters' minds is, of course, the economy, with inflation continuing and prices for groceries and energy still high. Do you think that will drive turnout for your Senate candidates and for elections on Election Day in November?
Well, we do. And I tell you, we've got races across the country that are also going to be presidential battleground states. There'll be Senate battleground states, states where inflation is taking a heavy toll on an average everyday hardworking American. States like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, where you've got a guy like Dave McCormick in Pennsylvania, Mike Rogers in Michigan, Eric Hovde in Wisconsin, Sam Brown in Nevada, Kerry Lake in Arizona. These are all great candidates. And what voters are finding out is the most expensive vehicle they drive anymore is their shopping cart. They go to the grocery store, they see prices up 20% from where they were when President Trump left office. They're seeing rising energy costs, higher prices at the gas pump. And then you see the policies coming out of Washington, shutting down American-made energy. And the voters are connecting those dots. They know we need to give President Trump a Republican Senate majority, because it will be the Republicans that will work with the president on policies of lower taxes, less government, more energy production.
One issue that Democrats certainly want to be front and center during this election cycle is the issue of abortion. How do you think Republican candidates have been messaging on that? And do you think it has the potential to hurt your party's chances come November?
Well, look, I think one thing, a painful lesson learned in 22 was candidates not clearly defining where they stand on the issue of life. And what we found through extensive polling work, as well as focus groups, is that most of the American people want to see exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. And they want to see reasonable limits placed on late-term abortions. And that's where our candidates are landing. They all need to be representing their states in terms of where their states are at, what their states in some cases have already passed as laws. But our candidates are being clear where they stand, and they're taking reasonable positions here that are embraced by about 70%, according to our polls, in terms of the positions they take. But you contrast that to the very radical position each Democrat takes, and that is they will not draw any line, any protections for the unborn, even up until the moment of birth. And that's a real extreme position. So I think painting that contrast of reasonable limits on late term versus extreme limits, or versus the extreme position of no limits on abortion up to the moment of birth, it is a compelling message that allows us to win this issue in November.
There are predictions the House could flip when you look at the narrow majority that the Republicans currently have, could flip to the Democrats. What are the challenges if you take back the majority in the Senate and yet lose the House to the Democrats?
Well, one of the important distinctions between the Senate and the House is the fact the Senate's in the personnel business.
Yes.
Our founding fathers gave us the responsibilities of approving any presidential nominations. So there'll be profound votes coming up in the U.S. Senate for the Supreme Court, as an example. The two oldest justices on the bench Alito and Thomas, two conservative stalwarts. Not to mention, if we don't get control of the United States Senate and the Democrats have the House, they likely will eliminate the legislative filibuster. That has very grave consequences for our country, which means they would move forward with D.C. statehood, likely Puerto Rican statehood, which would give the Democrats 4 additional Democrat senators in perpetuity. They'd move forward with moving the Supreme Court from 9 to 13 justices, would forever change the makeup of the Supreme Court. And they would pass their federal takeover of election law that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer yearn for. And that would remove the powers of the states to put in place voter ID laws, to control the amount of all mail-in voting that occurs and so forth. That would really be a major power grab by the left. It would be very difficult for Republicans to ever gain control of the Congress again. So the consequences could be profound and severe if the House were to fall to the Democrats and the Senate to the Democrats. I think the Senate becomes the firewall for the 2024 election, given that the House is a bit of a jump ball right now. And that's why it's so important with a map that's one of the best maps we've seen in a decade, where we have a chance to win the Senate. That's why the stakes are so high in November.
Former President Trump, of course, at the top of the ballot, has driven some serious turnout in the past. What impact do you think he'll have on some of these critical Senate races that you're obviously tracking very closely?
Yeah, we see President Trump as very much a key factor in winning these Senate races. In a state like Montana and Ohio, where they are Trump states. I mean, Trump will win Montana by probably 20 points. He's going to win Ohio by close to 10 points. Trump brings out voters that normally may not show up and vote otherwise. And so these are lower propensity voters that Trump is going to attract. And then you take a look at some of these other states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. The last presidential candidate since Ronald Reagan to win all 3 of those states was actually President Trump back in 2016. And so I think Trump plays a very important role here of bringing voters that otherwise may not show up to vote, but they will show up because they support President Trump. That's going to help us down ballot in these Senate races.
The challenge of fundraising during a presidential cycle is a lot of people are ready to stroke checks to the top of the ticket. What about fundraising for these critical Senate races? Yeah,
well, clearly the left has figured out a way to maximize digital fundraising, as well as your billionaires from technology and so forth that are promoting the left of center causes. But I'll tell you, we've got candidates that are working hard. We've got a lot of outside groups here that believe in limited government, lower taxes, and freedom. They're going to be working as well in many of these races. But, it's interesting to note, Mike, that Democrats have to run away from Joe Biden. In every one of these races, they're going to be very uncomfortable standing on the same platform with President Biden. President Biden is not going to be in Montana with John Tester. John Tester wants to keep Joe Biden thousands of miles away from Montana. Sherrod Brown wants to keep Joe Biden thousands of miles away from Ohio. And then you've got these key swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, where it's going to be very uncomfortable for the Democrats to have Joe Biden on the stage with them. Contrast that with President Trump, where every one of our candidates will want President Trump to be with them doing rallies and so forth. And again, that's going to be a clear contrast. That's also going to be a factor here in driving fundraising.
He is the chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, Steve Daines of the great state of Montana. Thanks so much for your time, sir. Have a great week.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
My wife and I both, we ended up mildly sick for a few months, and the nasal congestion was probably the worst part. I had like a post-nasal drip, just super congested all the time. We were taking everything we possibly could, but nothing really worked.
Kyrie was miserable until a friend recommended Navage. Navage offers immediate drug-free congestion relief, flushing your nasal passages with refreshing saline and sucking out mucus, germs, and other airborne irritants. Don't live in misery this cold season. Use Navage so you can breathe easier, sleep better, and feel your best right away.
The biggest thing Navage has done has completely cleaned out my nasal passages. It was from the first use, I was able to just clear out anything that was stopping me from breathing correctly. Navage helps me clear the way, literally clear the way for me to operate better in the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with everything I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of dry AMD called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, colors appear dull or washed out. For others, hazy or blurred vision make it hard to see details, like fine print on price tags. Many have trouble seeing in the dark, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you think you have GA, don't wait. Treatments are available. Ask a retina specialist about FDA-approved treatments for GA and go to
Columbo and Cady.
Was Biden's debate challenge an attempt to change the subject from bad polling? We'll discuss this with Virginia Cruda at 2:45 on Monday and catch up with Rob Carter.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
When it comes to the performance of your home, you can do it right and you can do it for less money at the same time. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Window World. They are simply the best for less. Double strength glass windows, lifetime warranty. And now for the first time, they are offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. So give my friends right here in St. Louis a call today. Get that free in-home estimate. Once again, 314-993-1800.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service. 636-379-1830. 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch and bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well. Grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830. hansonstree.com. hansonstree.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Speaking with Randy Tobler, Dr. Randy Tobler.
I think that it's gotten to the point where everyone has so much dirty laundry, where everyone just sort of covers and they don't want to really expose. They don't want to dig too deep. I won't get too close to your armpits and smell them if you don't get too close to mine, to put it in a very crude way. But I think that makes the point.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening.
And it's happening a lot faster.
What matters most is...
the only question that matters here.
Are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need.
Here are the facts.
When you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
The business is done here.
Go inside the lives of the West's biggest names.
Some were heroes, some were villains, but most were a bit of both. And that's where the fun begins.
Yeah, you hurt me. I want to hurt you.
This is Outlaws and Lawmen, now streaming on Fox Nation.
Sign up now at foxnation.com today.
Look
look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Monday, May 20th. This is the Fox News Rundown. Former Trump attorney Michael Cohen will be back on the stand today as the hush money trial against the former president continues.
Former President Trump's New York criminal trial could be coming to an end soon. His former attorney, Michael Cohen, will be back on the stand tomorrow for what is likely to be his final day of cross-examination. Cohen is believed to be the prosecution's last witness. If that is the case, the defense will have the opportunity to begin calling their own witnesses to the stand. If they decide not to, closing arguments could begin as soon as Tuesday.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. The trial of U.S. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey resumes this morning. Menendez charged with accepting bribes to benefit himself and the Egyptian and Qatari governments. He and his wife Nadine facing more than a dozen criminal counts, accused of accepting gold bars and more than $400,000 in cash. And President Biden speaks today at a White House celebration of Jewish American Heritage Month. The president delivered the commencement address at Morehouse College yesterday, as several students could be seen turning their backs to protest his Mideast policy. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, and NewsTalkSTL.com.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
So we have a debate set between Biden and Trump. The question is, does the White House really want to do this?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Attention farmers. Is your material handling equipment coming up short in your operation? A JCB TM Series telescopic wheel loader from Sievers JCB can take your productivity to new heights. Bucket capacities range from 1 yard to 4 yards and lift heights up to 18 feet. Don't miss out on special short-term lease options and put JCB TM productivity to work on your farm for under $3,000 per month. To schedule your on-farm demo, call or visit SieversJCB.com today.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby. Only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh, no. It's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Looking for a cruise vacation? Cruise.com is offering its exclusive sale of the year to all listeners to this station. Every major cruise line, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, MSC, and more, are on sale now. Call 1-800-507-9264 and book one of these deals while supplies last. Cruises start from as low as $39 per person per day. There isn't a better vacation value to places like Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and more. Call one of the largest cruise specialists in the world at 1-800-507-9264. We'll find you a vacation that includes drinks, Wi-Fi, excursions, and more. Call 1-800-507-9264. That's 1-800-507-9264. Space is limited. Don't miss your opportunity to book the best deal of the year. That's 1-800-507-9264. Sponsored by Cruise.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Sievers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Monday, it pains me to say this, but the exclusion of Robert Kennedy Jr. from the presidential debates is a good thing for the country. I want to hear what Kennedy is saying, but since there's so much on the line in November, his presence would eat up valuable time on the debate stage and be a distraction. Jr. has no chance of winning, according to every poll. Now, the debate will be a fiasco without Kennedy because both Biden and Trump will say anything, and accuracy is rarely a consideration. RFK Jr. does the same thing, as conspiracy stuff is a heavy part of his presentation. We live in a time when seeking the truth is way down on the list of priorities. People believe what they want to believe, and that's that. Politicians well understand they can say pretty much anything these days and will not be held accountable because the press has been infected with ideology. If your guy lies, ignore it. And so the USA will have presidential debates. That's good. But much propaganda will be on display. That's bad. There will also be malice, heavy malice, between Biden and Trump. Does CNN have the people who can impose control during the debate? No, they do not. And Jake Tapper hates Donald Trump. Back after this. You can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV, Samsung TV Plus. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, boy, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Everyone loves a champion, someone whose performance puts them head and shoulders above the rest. But not all champions wear a medal or hoist a trophy. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, we're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. We believe abuse can be prevented by taking a hard look at how we coach, how we train, and how we interact after the last whistle. We have provided over 2 million safe sport trainings. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job. It's our promise.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the News Talk STL app.
Love the News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It is all said and done when it comes to the Missouri legislature. So no, we're not going to sit here and beat the dead horse all day long today. We know what went wrong, and there were a few things that went right. So let's do this a little bit later on today. What's it going to take to get the attention of the lawmakers, of the elected officials, particularly the Republican ones, to make them focus more on getting conservative, free market, freedom-based things done than whatever that mess was over the past 5 months? We're going to talk about that a little bit later on today. Not even just a matter of here's what you failed to do. It's a matter of how are we going to get some of them, because we do have some freedom fighters in the legislature. They just seem to be blocked by the others. How do we get them to focus on what matters, especially as we head into whatever the special sessions may or may not happen, or the veto session, and particularly as we head into the next year? All right, I'm Mike Ferguson. Happy Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. Last week, we had a chat with our friend Alfredo Ortiz from the Job Creators Network, and we got a lot of economic data, a lot of the arrows and the reports and the numbers, and they're telling a story. And the story that they're telling contradicts the story that the White House is telling us. White House says economy is turned around. Things are moving the right way. Well, small businesses in this country, in particular, businesses in general, are dealing with higher costs, just like the rest of us are. And some of this recent information that we're getting just confirms what we're all feeling. Things are not turning around. Where do we go from here? Here's what Alfredo had to say. Alfredo, we got some new inflation numbers, consumer price index numbers this week. It went up again, rose by, the 0.3% in and of itself doesn't sound like a huge number. 3.4% year over year is not great. It's above what they're targeting. But when you pile that on to everything else over the last couple of years, what does that mean? The realities is where we're at when it comes to our households, small businesses in particular, because the White House is still trying to say, look at these small numbers. It's not that bad. But what we're seeing is an aggregate effect of sorts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me explain it in a very, very scientific way. Paying more, getting less. That's pretty much what it comes right down to. Whether it's in the grocery store, whether it's at the gas pumps, whether it's rent. It is unbelievable. The average American can no longer support themselves. Credit card debt, for example, is at record high, $1.3 trillion. $1.3 trillion. Imagine that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. The consumer no longer can support themselves. They can't make ends meet. They're working 2 jobs now. It's just out of control. And it all comes down to, frankly, Biden's attack on energy, which started this whole thing.
Hey, react to something that Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said yesterday when being asked about these numbers.
We are seeing some progress, some macroeconomic progress, but we understand that there are Americans and families that are still struggling. That's why the president continues to do everything that he can to lower costs.
Okay, jump ball, it's all yours.
Look, this White House has to win an award for best fiction stories. It is unbelievable what they can come up with and how they pull this out of this data. First of all, we heard Biden say that, inflation was at 9% when I came on. It was at 1.4%, right? And then he repeats this lie. And then, of course, they say this from the White House press secretary. It is just unbelievable. I guess they think that the average American is just stupid. And I think that's what it really comes down to. And guess what? I think we're all tired of this bull crap and hearing of this malarkey, right? So, hey, pal, I say to Joe, stop it, level up with the American public, and tell us the truth.
Extra points for using the word malarkey.
Right yes. And the PAL reference also worked. That hit. I appreciate it. Alfredo, this is Gabe Pfeiffer here. We talk a lot about what White House policy is doing to the economy, but what can the executive branch do to improve the economy, and what's out of their control?
Well, drill, baby, drill. Let's start there, because that truly is, it goes back to that fateful day, first day in office, when he reversed the Keystone XL pipeline and canceled it out. He basically declared war on domestic energy. Remember, we were a net exporter of energy, and now we're importing energy. And worst of all, we're importing energy from the people that hate us the most, right? From the Middle East and stuff like that. This is absolutely ridiculous when we have everything that we need under our feet right now, today, right? We can get it back and started and at least start the process. Unfortunately, now it's been 3 years, right? So it would take a long process. It would take a while, but at least let's get this process going.
Good morning, Alfredo. Stal Ponticus here. So explain to us how Biden gets away with saying that inflation was at 9% when he took over, when actually it was 1.2%. Is this the Saul Alinsky kind of thing where you just keep saying it over and over and over, and finally the people believe
what you're saying, even though it's a lie?
Well, they must think that that's what it is. But like I said, I think the average American understands that this is just a bunch of bullcrap. It really is. And I would use another word, but I know this is a family show. So
Appreciate it.
But it really is. I mean, when we go to the grocery store and we see the prices of eggs, bread, milk, and cheese the way they are, when we see the price of gas versus where it used to be, rent, my goodness. I mean, it is unbelievable. I know when I go to the grocery store, and I spend $100, I come out with like 2 little bags. Mm-hmm. I mean, I go, where did my money go? I mean, the other day I wanted to go make myself a turkey sandwich. And so I went to the grocery store, $15 a pound for turkey sandwich. I mean, you can't even make yourself a turkey sandwich anymore.
And if you want chips on the side, that's another $7 for a bag of chips.
Yeah, forget about it.
Hey, Alfredo, what about the effect particularly on small businesses? I mean, obviously, large businesses can do nationwide cuts and they've got more room to work, although we're seeing layoffs all over the place. And big companies are able to forecast these things. Small businesses right here in St. Louis or wherever it is that you happen to live right now, they feel this in a very, very different way. And small businesses create and maintain as many jobs as large corporations in the aggregate around the country. How is the effect on them compared to maybe other sectors of the economy?
Well, it has not really gotten much better for small businesses since the pandemic. Inflation, the rate of increase, and I hate even using the word inflation because it's such a technical term, is just the price that we pay for everything that we use every day, right? That just keeps going up and up and up. And the pile-on is a great word, right? Because that's exactly what's happening. He's crowing about, hey, look how good it's slowing down. Imagine it's like you and I, we gained 60 pounds in a year, right? But then we start celebrating because now we're only gaining 30 pounds a year. It's like, you're still fat, man. I mean, it's like, stop the spending, stop the eating, right? I mean, we got to stop this ridiculous spending, and small businesses are really, really getting hit hard on every single element related to this economy, right? On every single thing. They can't take prices up anymore because the consumer is just completely tapped. Like I said, credit card debt at record high. Their saving accounts are dead. They're using for their 401ks now. I mean, working 2 jobs, right? So this average small business owner can't do much more to sustain this continued increases on their costs. I mean, they either have 2 choices, right? They either take their prices up, right, which obviously they can't do, or you are seeing kind of like portion sizes coming down, which is they're trying to at least provide some kind of value still to consumers, right? But the average small business owner just can't take it anymore. And then to make things even worse, right? There's a massive credit crunch going on because of this high inflation, because remember, the Fed had to take interest rates up to combat the high inflation, right? So these poor small businesses are paying these credit, interest rates, if they can get credit, right, that are breaking their backs.
Alfredo, the Biden administration is suggesting that they're doing all the right things, but it's just gonna be a matter of time before you actually feel it in your wallet. But in truth, even if the Biden administration did all of the right things, there would be a delay, correct, in our ability to feel the corrections working in our favor.
Well, yes. I mean, unfortunately, that's true. I mean, and he loves trying to blame, the big corporations and basically any business because they're greedy and, they're taking their prices up. I mean, they are so out of touch with reality. I mean, he's completely out of touch with reality, but the entire administration really is. I mean, when you think about it, that the average American now pays $12,000 more just to maintain the standard of living that they had before President Biden took office. I mean, this is not an economy that's getting better. Like I said, you hear this term Bidenomics. Again, I define it very simply as Bidenomics equals paying more, getting less. That's pretty easy.
All right, Alfredo Ortiz from the Job Creators Network. People want to get in touch with you. They want to follow what you're doing, Job Creators Network, because you've actually got some really good analysis on there. I like what you all are doing. What's the way to be in touch?
So jobcreatorsnetwork.com is our website. And if they're interested, and folks out there just, from what they've heard today, join jcn.com. We need people to join this fight because we need to all work together and fight this craziness that's happening up in DC.
Yeah, I mean, you start hollowing out small businesses, whether it's a rural community or in an urban community. Small businesses run several parts of town in big areas. You start hollowing that out, the rest of it starts falling after that. I mean, so we can be as partisan as much as we don't like Joe Biden, but these are the real world consequences of what he's doing. That's just why we don't like him. You start hollowing those out. I mean, it's hard to stop that. It's hard to stop that collapse.
Yeah. And we got a taste of that during COVID, right? When all these small businesses closed down, we got a taste of what that's going to be like. And so, if we keep doing these, crazy, government regulations that are passing, I got to give a really quick thing. There's this thing out there called the Corporate Transparency Act, by the way, which all small businesses better hear about this, because if you don't follow these rules, you could actually go to jail. I mean, it's too complicated. It's for your next show, I guess. But
sure.
Look it up. The Corporate Transparency Act, warning to all small businesses: you must comply, or you could potentially go to jail. It's ridiculous.
First morning news dump of the week comes your way in just about 2 minutes and 14 seconds, right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey, I'd like you to get to know Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer. Those are dentists and my dental team, along with their dental team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Whether it's economic value with their dental savings plan and their real concern about giving you value, which is, of course, quality at a great price, or whether it's their personal values, their dedication to absolute precision. I can tell you when I go in and get my treatment there, or just a cleaning, whatever, it's always, I get this feeling, it's like laser guided precision. Well, yeah, they have lasers, but they don't do that for everything. Of course, it's the right tool for the right job. Whether it is dental implants, whether it's just general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and by the way, he can use some Botox in all the right ways for those applications as well. You'll find the greatest of care, the greatest value delivered with people who have real values, the values we share at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles. Get to know them by calling 636-978-0226, 636-978-0226, or advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
We were there when our nation called us to serve. We were there to write the original GI Bill and get it signed into law. When a community found itself in the middle of a natural disaster. When tragedy struck at a local school. For veterans who suffered from toxic exposure and needed a voice on Capitol Hill. And we're still serving as part of the American Legion. For more than 100 years, veterans have been strengthening our nation through the American Legion. Through programs that help our nation's youth become tomorrow's leaders. By keeping the spirit of our forefathers alive and well. And by helping veterans receive the benefits they earned through their service. The American Legion will be there for the next 100 years. Learn more about how we're helping in your community at legion.org.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, the tinderbox that is the Middle East could be heating up some more after the death of one nation's leader.
Oh, that's not good to hear.
This could be big. All right. Also, Missouri voters are being asked to amend the state's constitution when it comes to, well, voting.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you the breakdown of that.
Voting to change the voting.
Voting to change the voting, or voting to continue voting the way that we're voting.
Okay, that'd be better.
Sort of.
I agree.
All right. And playoff football back in St. Louis after, 2 decades?
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that here as well. It is 5:51 right now. I'm Mike. That's Stell. Okay, state media in Iran is reporting that their president, Ibrahim Raisi, has been killed in a helicopter crash. That aircraft reportedly went down on Sunday near a small village called Uzi, and it took about 12 hours for them to locate the debris. And at last check, I've not received any reports that they have actually made it to the debris. They've just flown drones over it to take a look, and they say there are no signs of life there. Okay, we'll get into this a little bit more in depth here in just a little bit. That's basically all that we know, other than there were some other key leaders of Iran on that helicopter. It looks like weather probably had something to do with it, although truth doesn't really matter in that part of the region. So this could be something to keep an eye on. We'll go from there. All right. It is still commencement season, as we know, which frankly gives me a wealth of stuff to work with, but not always good stuff. President Biden delivering the commencement address at Morehouse College in Atlanta on Sunday. And during the remarks, he addressed the rise in protest across the country, particularly on college campuses, over Israel's defending itself against Hamas.
I want to say this very clearly. I support peaceful, nonviolent protest. Your voices should be heard, and I promise you I hear them.
Okay, so when he says, I promise you that I hear them,
that doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't mean anything other than validating, trying to pacify the hard left who supports all of these occupations. And he gave the little disclaimer, I support peaceful, nonviolent protest, but that's not what happened.
No.
And so he's basically, from the presidency, validating all of this nonsense, in addition to the fact that the protesters whose voice that he promises were being heard are anti-Semitic bigots.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. You heard him. You're basically giving a shout out because that's what the left says. Now we hear you, we see you. That's their thing now. So that's his message to the anti-Semites out there.
And he wants a 2-state solution. You know what that is? Michigan and Minnesota. That's his 2-state solution.
Yeah.
He wants those votes so badly that he will compromise.
Oh, it's sellout. Let's call it what it is.
Israel.
Sellout. Completely sellout. Yeah, that's heading there. Okay. Doctors say a city police officer might lose the use of one of his eyes after being attacked by a woman and her daughter late last week. The officer was called to the Penrose neighborhood on Friday. Police say it was a disturbance. It became a fight. The officers moved in to break up the fight. One juvenile was being arrested when her mother grabbed the officer from behind and tried to hold his arms down. And that gave the 16-year-old enough time to take the officer's flashlight and start beating him in the face and in the eyeball with it. Both 35-year-old Camaria S. Williams and her 16-year-old daughter face felony assault charges.
Wow.
Doctors say it's really bad, and the officer may lose sight in his left eye. Let me tell you, from a guy who has lost sight in his left eye, that changes everything, and that'll make it really hard for a police officer. All right. Missouri voters are going to decide whether to ban ranked choice voting in the state. Yeah, that's a constitutional amendment question that will be on the ballot later this year. It has not been decided whether it's going to be August or November. If passed by voters, ranked choice, sometimes called approval voting, would be illegal except in the city of St. Louis. There's a carve out for that because the city already uses that process, and the carve out would make the exception where it's already being used and if it's technically nonpartisan.
I didn't like it when the city instituted it. Kathy and I were still in the city then, and I hate it even more now, to be honest with you. Just for me personally, and we've seen what it's done in Maine and Alaska, and it's hard to believe other states are considering it too.
Well, if you're on the left, you definitely, basically, if not even so much if you're on the left, if you are in a state that's dominated by one side or the other, you're like, hey, great, this gives me a shot. If you're a third party, you're like, hey, great, we can have a little bigger numbers. But the idea of one person, one vote, which Democrats were all about last week, now they're complaining that this is going to be on the ballot. I would say unbelievable, but we know it's not. All right. Gas prices, once again, they're kind of declining a little bit, now sitting around $3.70 per gallon for regular unleaded. Trilby Lumberg of the Lumberg Survey says this was unexpected, but she also says the demand for gas isn't what it has been as well. Oh, why isn't that?
Gasoline demand is shrinking, partly because the price is still elevated and the weakening economy and the cost of driving a vehicle have been surging.
All right, Jackson, Mississippi has the lowest cost per gallon at $3.02, with San Francisco having the highest cost, $5.30 a gallon. Yikes. All right. Cardinals get the series win, but they do not get the sweep after winning the first two games against the Red Sox. Redbirds lost the final game 11-3. Orioles are in town to start a 3-game series today. Sonny Gray gets the start. First pitch is at 6:45. Battlehawks punch their ticket to the UFL playoffs.
All right.
We've got playoff football coming back to St. Louis. That happened via Sunday's 26-21 win over the Defenders. I'll tell you more about that just ahead right after this information break. 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Talk radio made in St. Louis.
Very excited for what you guys are doing for the St. Louis community.
For St. Louis. Relevant local talk.
Saying what we are thinking.
This is News Talk STL.
You guys are awesome. I love you. And it's a tremendous honor to be on the station.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Thanks for covering the local angle.
Oh, people, this is America.
We better open our eyes.
Really local, really good.
News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL FenceWorks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit stlfenceworks.com today.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A caretaker president has been appointed in Iran following a helicopter crash that killed the country's hardline president, the Iranian foreign minister, and several other high-ranking officials.
Iran's president, Ebrahim Raisi, has died in a helicopter crash on return from a visit to a province on the Azerbaijan border. He was 63 years old. Heard here, Raisi was inaugurating a dam in his last few moments before he left in a helicopter which ultimately crashed. Raisi was a hardliner who used to be the head of Iran's judiciary. He was viewed as a protege of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Raisi was sanctioned by the US in part over his involvement in the mass execution of thousands of political prisoners in 1988 at the end of the bloody Iran-Iraq war. I'm Karen Shamas.
Former President Trump's New York trial is winding down with Mr. Trump's former lawyer due back for more testimony.
Today, Michael Cohen back on the stand, putting the landmark case on track for jury deliberations that will determine whether it ends in a mistrial, an acquittal, or the first ever felony conviction of a former American president. It's still unclear whether Trump will take the stand in his own defense. Out of the courtroom, he's continually said he's not guilty. Julie Walker, New York.
Oklahoma and Kansas, latest states to experience violent storms, including some confirmed tornadoes. Oklahoma City witnessed at least one twister. The heat is on in Houston. Hot, humid weather as hundreds of thousands are still without power, and that means no air conditioning following fierce storms last week. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 10 points. NASDAQ futures 39 points higher, and the S&P futures are up 6 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Seth Holhouse brings hope and insight as he fights against socialism and communism on the Man in America podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The role of the digital world in shaping our perception of the real world cannot be overlooked. It seems like all of these mechanisms are dividing us in endless ways.
Subscribe to Man in America today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, boy, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Pat Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Greece is cheap,
but the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer. And again, airfare.
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397. What happens next?
These are violations of federal law. You can't have this kind of rioting.
Happens right here.
This should not be happening. We should be showing support for Jews.
Columbia should gain a little strength and keep their school open.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
All right, take that, Stan.
Yeah.
That's the PG version of the message sent to Stan Kroenke.
I'm sure the Dome was rocking with a similar chant. Just a less PG version of it.
Somebody made a big flag.
Oh no!
Yes, I had a friend of mine, Steve, sent me some pictures.
Okay,
and I texted him back, and when he sent me the picture, and I said somebody went to a pretty decent amount of expense to have a professionally made F. Stan Kroenke flag that was out there at the game.
Yeah, they're serious about that.
Oh, very much
Battlehawks
so.
Nation.
So it wasn't just FSK.
No, it was F and then Stan Kroenke.
It was the full word.
Just in case anybody had any questions as to who was being referenced, there was none. All right, let's get to that here in a minute, because honestly, it's bigger than just the game.
Sure,
itself. It's just the team, and obviously, I'm a fan of the team. But we'll get to that here in a second. By the way, we're going to vote on voting in Missouri this year.
Okay.
Yep. Going to give you the rundown of the constitutional amendment that's going to be on the ballot. Let's do that around 6:20 here. Get into that just a little bit. Okay. Playoff football back in St. Louis. So
that's right.
Stick that in your craw. Stan Kroenke, not the Stan Kroenke may not even know what the UFL is. Who knows? So the sports side of it is that the Battlehawks beat the Defenders 26-21, and that means that the Battlehawks have now secured a place in the championship game against San Antonio.
Yeah, buddy.
That's right. That's going to happen June 9th. Now, here's what's funny is the last game of the season, which is a home game for the Battlehawks, is against San Antonio.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and San Antonio has also clinched a spot in the playoffs. So they're going to play 2 weeks back-to-back. One game means nothing. The other game means almost everything.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which means we're going to have like the water boy as the quarterback or something.
Well, and also it's in the same place. Isn't the championship here?
Well, the UFL championship here this is the conference championship.
Oh, okay, right.
And
yeah,
then
you're right.
The winner of that will play the winner of Birmingham versus Michigan. Frankly, the only two teams that have actually beaten the Hawks this year. So they're going to play for a chance to go to the championship, which will be at the Dome on the 16th.
Okay. All right.
So 32,000 plus fans at the game yesterday, which was a morning kickoff. And there was an afternoon Cardinals game.
Oh, pretty consistent.
So
then,
that's
in the 30K range basically for Battlehawks football. So that's really good.
Yeah, 30 to 35,000 all season long. That's been and I haven't seen the total numbers from around the league, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably about 2/3 of the UFL's attendance for
thereabouts.
For the
a half to 2/3 easily.
Right. And so, I know a lot of people, took on the Battlehawks just because they miss football in St. Louis.
Yes.
The others are just, they hate Stan Kroenke that much, and they want anything to succeed where Stan Kroenke abandoned the city.
Yes.
Honestly, because there is now talk, people are saying 30-some thousand every game for, a spring league team, and they're saying that should show that St. Louis should get the NFL back. I don't care.
I don't want the NFL back.
Yeah, I don't care. I just, the NFL can, now there's going to be additional pressure right now because it looks like the Chiefs in the next few years could actually move into Kansas.
I've heard about that. Yeah, basically just going across river to the other side of the city, essentially.
Right.
Or not the river, but other side of the border.
Right. But then there is a river in part of it.
Is there?
This part of it. So there's going to be a lot of pressure to at least have an NFL presence in the state. But I honestly don't care about getting the NFL. I know that makes me the odd man out. I'm supposed to be a cheerleader to get. First of all, I haven't watched the NFL in years, so personally, I'm just not invested. Secondly, the NFL is dialing back its virtue signaling, but they haven't shut it off yet. And thirdly, what we're showing is that this is our team. We can make this work. We have made this work. Other cities are looking to figure out what St. Louis is doing. And I think that, this probably will be the only team in the UFL that makes a profit outside of TV rights.
Yeah, I have no interest in going back to the NFL. Like I hear about the various controversies. I hear about various individuals who are saying things that I like, like the one, the kicker. the championship, across the state, that seems to be a really, really big deal for a lot of people. But I have no interest in NFL returning to St. Louis. I'm happy with my Battlehawks.
I'm thrilled.
I'm going to get more gear as soon as I can.
They need to be, selling some more. I mean, they've got a decent fan store, but not. There's some things I would like that they don't have yet.
There's some variety that they're missing there. So yeah.
So and also when it comes to this, so here's how it's going to play out. Next week, the Battlehawks are on the road, and then like I said, the last week, week 10 is at home against the Brahmas.
Right.
And it's going to be weird because the game doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely going to be the second and third string players.
You don't want your guys
the
to
other.
get hurt.
Oh gosh, no.
Now, then after that, on the 9th is when the Brahmas and the Battlehawks will play for the XFL Conference Championship.
The conference. That's right. That's right.
Now, I don't know where that game is going to be.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not sure how they're going to decide that. It might be by record.
Yeah. Well, right now they're tied too.
Right. Well,
yeah.
So in that case, that last game of the season may be a decider on who gets to host.
Could be.
So who knows if there's actually anything to that.
And I just looked on the app. It did not give a location.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, speaking of injury though, trying to sit your guys, McCarron has got that foot injury,
right?
And he's currently listed as week to week, I believe, right?
Yeah, because he didn't play yesterday and they won anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it was a tight game, though. It might have been tighter now because without McCarron, but still, Battlehawks have a solid team, so they're able to make it through. But I am worried about McCarron.
The smartest thing that the UFL is doing, and the Battlehawks are doing, is making these games midday.
Yes,
smartest thing. Even though they've gone head to head with the Cardinals,
mm-hmm.
and I know that they probably didn't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But that is the smartest thing that you can do. I don't know that midway and late in the season, you get the same turnout at night downtown.
No.
I mean, just last night, did you see all the video? Apparently downtown at one point became like a spontaneous car show free-for-all.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 4-wheelers and motorcycles and cars, donuts and spinning out everywhere.
Oh,
and
they just kind of took over a corner someplace and just did their thing. I've seen that thing happen in a number of cities before. It feels as though they organize that stuff over social media and then they all just have a gigantic get together to take over, the street someplace.
Yeah.
Well, it used to happen a lot on weekends just south of downtown, right around just north of the Soulard area. But before you get up to Bush, and they would gather at that gas station that's around Broadway and Shodo. There's a Taco Bell, I believe, at the corner. There's a gas station.
Yeah.
You would have tons of those folks gather there, and then they'd be doing all their stuff on the streets, going through downtown. Exactly. And what the shame is about what happened, did you say last night, Mike?
Yeah.
Is that Friday night, there was a very positive event that happened on Washington Boulevard downtown, a city social thing where thousands of people got together. It was a great time. The folks enjoyed it. There was music, food.
The parade?
I'm sorry?
The parade?
I don't know if there was a parade associated with it. I think it was just called City Social.
Oh, okay.
And an opportunity for folks to get together downtown on Washington Avenue.
Just kind of like a block party thing?
Yeah. Kind of a big block party. And everybody really enjoyed it. And now to have that happen last night, that puts a damper on what should have been a positive
There
weekend.
are people who are trying.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are people who recognize until you change two things at the top, and I mean, I hate to say at the bottom, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The administration and the policies and the elected officials at the so-called top, but then from the grassroots up, from the bottom up, you have to change culture and relationships and trust.
Yes. It's like, hey, meet your neighbors, get to know one another, break bread, have some barbecue,
which is what it was.
Yeah, and that's the type of a positive move, steps forward that a lot of these towns need to take, because otherwise you're hiding in your house, you're afraid of your neighbors because you don't know if they're the guy who was out there last night, popping off.
Yeah. All right, real quick here. Now, the debate over Harrison Butker's commencement speech continues.
It's ongoing. I don't understand why it has such legs.
At this point, matter of fact, I just asked the question on Rumble a little bit ago. I said, what did y'all, think of the fact that this is still a thing here?
Right.
Jay Monty says they cry about things, but when Biden or other liberals do them, they say nothing, no credibility with those types. None. Before that, he said, I think snowflakes will cry about anything they don't like. I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, yes, that's in general. It's just I'm just surprised at how long lasting this particular controversy is, because usually we've moved on to another controversy. We're a couple days out, aren't we?
Yeah, there's a new shiny thing.
Yeah, exactly. We went a whole weekend still talking about this.
On Fox and Friends weekend, legendary coach Lou Holtz was interviewed, and he actually was asked about this.
It's what he believes, and that's the thing that I say. It takes courage to get up and speak because people are going to criticize you.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, especially in this day and age, if you say anything, and here's the thing, he probably had an opportunity as he's writing this thing down. So he's like, you know what, I could just say some generic bullcrap, you know, that everybody's gonna hear at every commencement ever. Hey, this is your chance, and your future is bright, and go and do the thing, and everybody would be happy because he would have said essentially nothing. But
flash your world championship ring while you're talking.
Right, exactly. You make a couple jokes, you know, but what he chose to do was speak truth and speak it against the cultural tide that's standing against him. It's the equivalent of standing in front of a giant dragon. It's like, you know what, I'm going to go out and face this thing. That's what it means to really put yourself out there to challenge the public discourse that's controlled by the left.
But if you disagree, aren't you supposed to be angry and up in arms and you're hurt? And people, like, I've seen headlines. It's like, but the people who have been hurt by this.
Well, and what's funny too is they praise if you are speaking truth to power,
right?
But you're doing so from a victim standpoint. It's like, I'm hurt. You know, he's like, maybe if he had taken the tact of, well, my wife is hurt by the rhetoric of the crazy feminists who say you can't stay home and take care of your children and your household. You know, maybe if he had taken that tact, no, I'm kidding. That wouldn't have helped. But that's the thing. It is counterculture to be traditional now. So have at it, punk rock. All the way.
Isn't that weird?
Yes.
That is the punk rock position, which is like get married, remain faithful to your spouse, and have a family. That's the punk rock non-mainstream position now.
Yes. And the icons of punk rock are saying obey the government and do what it tells you.
I know. I'm like, what happened to punk? Come on,
hilarious.
punk.
Just take the jab.
Where'd you go, guys? Man.
Oh, man.
A haircut does not a punk make.
No, exactly.
Just saying.
Nor eye makeup.
That's right. All right. Let me tell you what we're going to be voting on the Missouri side. Is it about securing the elections, or is it about taking the ballot candy from another piece of legislation? I'll make sense of it right around 621 here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
For podcasts, articles, and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Stop it right now.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up, this is your cousin.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, barbecue lover, Tony Colombo here for my friend Jonathan Heslop and his company, Rockwood Lump Charcoal. If you're like me and log a lot of hours behind the barbecue pit, make sure you have a bag of Rockwood by your side next time you grill. You don't have to use nearly as much Rockwood charcoal as traditional briquettes, so your bag lasts longer, plus it burns cleaner, faster, and more evenly, providing a superior grilling experience. Use it once and you'll never want to use anything else. Rockwood Lump Charcoal is available at over 100 area locations. Find the closest one to you at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
I'm Susie Moore.
and this is more to the point.
The traditional way to let someone down easy when taking your leave of them is to assure them it's not them, it's you. I don't know how often that actually brings solace to the one being rejected, but it at least reflects an effort to spare their feelings. What about those times, though, when it really is them, and really is them in a way that might warrant some reflection and adjustment of behavior and/or attitude? I started thinking about that after reading a recent article from my colleague, Bob Hogue. In it, Bob recounted White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre's feeble attempt at deflecting blame from the Biden administration for the president's abysmal polling numbers. You see, folks, it was the pandemic. And Vladimir Putin, it's their fault. Joe Biden's been in office for 3.5 years, but it has nothing to do with his policies. Crises follow Biden like a dust cloud follows Pigpen, but none of them are his fault. The buck never stops with Joe Biden. Perhaps it's time to quit enabling him. November is still several months off, but rather than letting him down easy, it's well past time for voters to send Biden packing in no uncertain terms. It's not us, Joe. It's you.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Okay, before we talk about this voting thing here, because Missourians are going to vote on how to vote this year. I'll tell you what is going to be on the ballot here. By the way, also a pro-Israel conference gets the cancellation treatment. It happened. I will tell you about that at 6:35. It was supposed to be starting today. It's going to still happen, just not going to happen. They've had to rearrange stuff at the very last minute because they got canceled. Why? Because they're pro-Israel. The convention center says it's just not safe.
Oh, one of these.
One of those, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll tell you about that around 6:35 with our friends from First Liberty. Real quick, Goat Lady on Rumble says the kicker commencement came up at the bar. The lady who listened to the actual speech saw no reason for the outrage. The lady who didn't listen to it was irate about it.
Okay.
So the one who actually listened to it kind of went, apparently, from what Go Lady's saying
it's like this.
What's the big deal? What are y'all worked up over?
Right.
And the one who just reads the headlines and reads the op-eds and looks at social media, just heard about it.
Right.
Is ticked off.
Oh yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That sounds about right.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Because, CNN and MSNBC, I'm sure, were giving their opinions every hour.
USA Today, NBC, ABC, CBS, all of them. You
Well,
know.
anger in ignorance is pretty much par for the course for them, isn't it?
And powerful.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Very, very powerful. Very powerful.
I did see some good responses from Patricia Heaton, the actress, and also James Wood and a few others. Obviously, folks who are more on the conservative side, but they gave some very smart responses to these snide comments from the left.
As I understand it, the wife of the Chiefs owner came out in defense of him as well.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say pretty much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the things that happened at the last minute during the legislative session on the Missouri side here is that there will be a referendum on the ballot. This isn't a voters gathered one. This is the state legislature voted to put this on the ballot.
Okay. All right.
A party line vote all the way down the line, at least on the House, where this would ban ranked choice voting in the state.
Okay.
Right. So here's what it would do. If approved by voters, and I do not know if this is going to go on the August ballot or the November ballot. I don't know that that's been decided yet. So it would ban ranked choice voting and it would ban non-citizen voting. Now,
so that's where that's going.
Right. And these were the things that were supposed to be on the initial petition reform.
Yeah.
That's what the left threw a fit about and blocked it. And the Republicans allowed the left to block it over what they call the ballot candy.
Right.
Because the Democrats did not want that on the ballot, because then it would have been more likely,
more attractive for voters. Yes,
that initial petition would have passed because it all would have been election related. So that's all one single topic. It would also confirm that elections be carried out only by paper ballot but it does make an exception or any mechanical method prescribed by law. So
that's weird.
That would mean that the legislature would be allowed to make it legal for something other than paper ballots. But until that happens, paper ballots would be the official ballot unless the law specifically allows something else.
Amendments should be, I think, a little more specific than that to me.
Well, confusion is part of the tactic.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, that's one of the reasons that I think it's insane that we can amend the state constitution with 50% plus one.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, just absolutely.
We can
insane.
Basically enshrine confusion into our, establishing document.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with, speaking of ballot caddy, you remember the Clean Missouri.
Clean Missouri. That's right. That was one of the most egregious examples of it,
because
as far as I can tell.
You had to dig down, and what you saw, the biggest problem, the real reason they wanted the ballot candy to distract is because deep down in Clean Missouri, and look it up yourself, I read the whole thing, we would have required all of the state legislative districts to be drawn to represent an equal portion of Republican and Democrat voters. So they would have had to have made all of the districts, or at least tried to make them 50% Republican, 50% Democrat. Well, that's impossible in a state that's 2/3 Republican. So literally the district lines would have looked like spilt spaghetti.
Yeah. So somebody did an example of what would have counted, would have been of a legal district map. And it looked like there were two octopuses, one on either end of the state, and just with arms reaching out throughout the state and weaving in and out of the one another through the rural areas. It's crazy.
So the left loves ballot candy on their things. They just don't like it. And the media doesn't like it when it's advancing something, conservative. And reforming the initiative petition process isn't a Republican or a Democrat or conservative or liberal thing.
No.
I mean, it's just not. It's just that the left knows that they've got a better chance of getting their policies by investing, $3, $5, $10 million into buying a constitutional amendment. So because that's the history, that's where they've gotten it done. So the idea that you have to have a greater consensus than one election, is something everybody, if they had the best of intentions in mind, would be on board with that.
I think that's key. What's interesting is, I've in my mind, from the things that I've seen, the ballot candy idea is significantly different between the conservative and Democrat sort of initiatives, where the Democrats have ballot candy that actually is kind of contrary to the stuff they actually want to get done. In the ballot candy is good, and the stuff they want to get done is horrible. It's very much a candy coated crap pill that they're trying to feed us. But then from the conservative side, from what I've seen, it's like, yes, it's kind of obvious stuff, but it's consistent. It's at the very least, it's consistent from the ballot candy stuff versus the stuff that's initially intended. So I see apples and oranges, but maybe everybody else has a different opinion.
Yeah, I'll read the entire thing, but it sounds like this is kind of a no-brainer. On this. Now, here's the thing: is there's a carve out for the city of St. Louis. Now, they don't mention the city of St. Louis, but the only place where you'd be allowed to do ranked choice voting is if you are in a location where you're already using that process and it's nonpartisan.
So it's essentially a grandfather clause.
It's a grandfather clause for the city of St. Louis. So remember, the way that this works is that you've got three people on the ballot. Stell, Gabe, and Mike are on the ballot. And you could go in and instead of saying, I want to vote for Stell, or I want to vote for Gabe, you would go in and say, well, Stell's my favorite. He's 1, Gabe's number 2, Mike's number 3. And then if Stell wins, the number 1 votes of enough people, a majority, that's it. It's over. He wins. But if only 45% of the people voted you number 1, and I ended up finishing 3rd, then my vote goes away and they recalculate based on the formula that they have.
And you vote again.
And you vote, and it would be automatic.
Yeah.
They just take it and they they recount the ballots then under a different formula.
And that's the thing I really don't like about it, is that it's like, it's now technically it's basically trying to automate the a process by which you whittle down from your multiple choices and things like that. It's automating a system that could exist in the way we do things now. It's less expensive, but I don't think it takes into account that people's minds change over time. People's minds change as the conditions change. So if this is the slate of people that I'm going to vote for, this is the one person out of those people I want. And if that one person goes away, I might be doing different calculations in my head, and then as opposed to I get one chance to sort of make a 1, 2, 3 judgment, and it doesn't actually hold the same a reflection of reality. I think that having multiple voting events would.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there are no party designations on the ballot, so you don't see the R or the D, or in my case, the G for Greek.
Yeah, in the city of St. Louis, that's correct.
Yes. Well, and that's the carve out, right? It's like it must be technically a nonpartisan voting system.
I mean, the Democratic machine runs the city of St. Louis, so the voters are being told who are the Democrats and who's not. But technically, there is no party affiliation on. And honestly, that was good for the Republicans. I mean, Phil Menendez came much closer than he would have otherwise, because I think in part that it's nonpartisan designation on there. So,
absolutely.
So, when that's one of the reasons that I think that the referendum is put on there to keep that from becoming a partisan thing. Whether they should have carved it out, I think maybe they just didn't want to deal with the lawsuits because the city of St. Louis says, hey, we passed this, we did this. And this was a referendum that changed the voting process. So the people actually chose this.
Right.
Part of the reason the mess is that they're in there. All right, 314-912-1019 just ahead here. A pro-Israel conference gets the cancellation treatment. Tell you about that right around 6:34.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
Every time that I look in the mirror, all these lines in my face getting clearer. The past is gone. Even when my like dust to dawn.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Isn't that the way? Everybody's got the do's in life today.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
You lose, you Dixon Notch. Yeah. You lost America. I saw it etched on coins over there.
This is News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, boy, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for the Cleaning Pros at Zero Res. Zero Res knows there's nothing more important than the health of your family, and the health of your home has a direct impact on that, and that's why they have this great offer for the month of May. Book a cleaning now and mention the Colombo Special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. Keep your home clean and healthy with the pros at Zero Res. Just mention the Colombo Special when you call 314-474-2020 or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Honesty, integrity, humility, purpose. We're looking for people that share these values. As an officer in the Springfield, Missouri Police Department, you'll train in a state-of-the-art facility, learn special skills, and most importantly, learn that being humble through it all builds a better community. Our next training academy starts soon. Work hard and dedicate yourself to the craft, and I promise you'll have some amazing opportunities. Visit gospd.com for more information. That's gospd.com. Brought to you by the Springfield, Missouri Police Department.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So next week, the big Trump trial may come to an end. Will he be guilty? Will he be acquitted? Will it be a mistrial? We'll ask Rob Bluey from the Daily Signal about that Monday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
News Talk STL. Always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Night on Saturday night.
There's no question that tensions are very high regarding whether you support Palestinians in Gaza, whether you support Israel and her right to self-defense, but some of that conflict could be spilling over in the U.S. and possibly violating people's religious freedoms here. And I'm not just talking about college campuses. An interesting situation in Nashville has developed, and it has questions being asked about religious discrimination here. We're going to explain that here in just a second. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Hiram Sasser. He's the executive general counsel at the First Liberty Institute, which exists to defend religious liberty in the country. And Hiram, first of all, thank you for being on the program. Secondly, lay the foundation a little bit, just kind of the situation. We've got a hotel in Nashville that was booked to host a conference of people who support Israel, and it's been canceled by the hotel. And this was coming up. I mean, this was supposed to be starting on Monday. This was supposed to be starting, here on the 20th.
Yeah, this is a great conference put on by our client, Hayavel. They are essentially farmers who help Israeli farmers in Judea and Samaria, in that part of Israel, and to grow grapes and to prune and plant and that sort of thing. And they were having a conference where people were coming over from Israel. They even had someone from the government of Israel coming, people coming from all over the country. And they were going to stay and have the conference at the Sonesta Hotel in Nashville. But this all was booked back in January. But the Sonesta decided after they had received some complaints from the pro-Hamas crowd that they wanting the hotel to cancel this Jewish event because it's supporting Israel and the Jewish people. The hotel said, "Well, we're going to cancel," and they just abruptly canceled it 1 week before the conference. Which was an absolute tragedy. And, that one of the things that the hotel said was that they said, well, the police told us, the Nashville police told us we should cancel. But what's fascinating about that is that the police chief came out and said, no, we never said that. We stand ready to be able to secure the area and to be able to provide adequate security, and that these types of threats don't amount to the kind of level that would necessitate canceling an event. And so the hotel sort of tried to throw the police under the bus, but the police have come out and clarified that. So this is really a decision by the hotel giving in to the discrimination of this angry mob and thereby adopting that discrimination as their own. And that's a violation of federal law and Tennessee state law. And that's what this whole process has been about, is to hold the hotel, the Sonesta Hotel, accountable for their discrimination. And that's what started this process.
Okay, so I want to come to the what's next aspect of it here in just a minute, Hiram. But let me focus in on what you said as far as violating the law and violating the rights of the conference organizers. There are a lot of people who would say, okay, well, it's a private property. If they're getting complaints in the market, they're worried about public relations. Do they have the right to pick and choose who they do business with, and whether it's anti-Semitic or discriminatory? If it's a private conference in a private hotel and they can't keep agreed on terms, what's the legal reasoning to say, no, you must continue with this agreement?
Yeah. So in this country, decades ago, the Congress of the United States, the elected representatives of the people, decided that they did not want to allow places of public accommodation to be able to discriminate based on a lot of things like race or gender. This happens to be the religion section. And so Title II of the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination based upon religion in places of public accommodation. Tennessee, like most states, adopted the state equivalent of that law, and they have that on their books as well. So you can do business with whoever you want for whatever reasons you want to do business with them, but there are certain things that you're not allowed to do under the law, and which is that you're not allowed to engage in discrimination. And here this would be religious discrimination, because the entire reason why the protesters were attacking the conference is because it's supporting the Jewish people, and they hate the Jewish people. And many of the pro-Hamas group people, they would prefer the Jewish people to just jump off a cliff. And so because of that hatred of the Jewish people based upon their faith, the hotel giving into that becomes the part of the discrimination themselves. And in the same way as if an angry mob were, of people were, outside some lunch counter saying, hey, you have to kick this African American person out. They're not allowed to eat lunch here in this town. And then if the shop owner actually did that, they would be responsible for the racial discrimination prohibition in the Civil Rights Act that applies to private entities. And so it's the same thing here.
Okay, we're visiting with Hiram Sasser from First Liberty Institute. Okay, let me ask you about, and this is just tapping into the legal expertise here. You mentioned the public accommodation. So when it comes to the right to associate or not associate, there's a difference here with public accommodation. Real quickly, what does that mean, and why is that different from other aspects of public or private life?
Yeah, well, I mean, the difference is that the Congress passed a law. I mean, we have a federal law on the books that says that you're not allowed to, if you're a place of public accommodation. That's not every business, but there's hotels, theaters, that sort of thing are places of public accommodation, and as a result, they're not allowed to discriminate against any customers based upon a variety of different categories, but this particular one happens to be religion.
Okay, so what's next here at this point? You've been engaged. You're in this. Obviously, the schedule for the conference is, basically right here. But where do things stand right now? And what's the accountability going forward, not just for this hotel, but maybe for others around the country who are thinking about bending into this kind of pressure?
Yeah, well, the great thing about the situation is that, based upon all the reports and everything else, Ramsey Solutions, Dave Ramsey with his radio show, we're moving the event to his facilities outside of Nashville at Ramsey Solutions, and he actually told us that Ramsey Solutions is proud to stand beside their friends from Israel and to provide them a safe place to hold their event as a gift to them. So we've been able to move the conference to the Ramsey Solution facilities, but that does not exonerate the Sonesta Hotel because of all the additional expenses we have to move an entire conference that's been planned for months inside a week to a new facility. We have people coming in from overseas. It's a big undertaking that's taking a lot of effort. So the Sonesta Hotel is responsible for that, and we also think at the end of the day, it's important for the hotel to apologize to the people of Israel, to the Jewish people, and to the people that were coming into the conference specifically, and to Hayavel, who was putting on the conference.
Yeah, because obviously this kind of pressure isn't going to be unique just to Nashville. These are the kinds of, I guess you could call it, for lack of a better term, cancel culture that's being used in this anti-Semitic push that we're seeing, unfortunately, all across the country. All right, Hiram Sasser from First Liberty Institute. People want to follow what you all are doing. You all do a tremendous amount of work defending religious freedom for a variety of religions, not just one. What's the best way to follow what you do, to be in touch? Should people keep up to date?
Well, there's probably three things people should do. They should follow what's going on at firstliberty.org. they should go to they should type into Google Hayovel, Hayovel, and see how they can help them. And certainly thank Dave Ramsey for stepping up and at Ramsey Solutions and providing a place for these fine folks coming in from Israel and all over the country to be able to meet.
All right, Hiram, thank you so much for the update and the insight, because this won't be the last case like this.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, give me your thoughts. 314-912-1019. We have the Civil Rights Act and the public accommodations laws that Hiram was just talking about. And we've also got the private property aspect. This is where this gets really complicated because, listen, the law says, and Hiram, obviously being the expert in this, is that if you open up your business to the public, you cannot then discriminate based on A, B, C, D, whatever. And in this case, they're arguing that they're discriminating against one group of people, and that would be those who have a religious belief to support the Jewish people and support Israel. So that would be obviously the Jewish faith. That would obviously be many denominations of Christianity as well. At the same time, is there a case to be made that the hotel, being a private business, has the right to say, we don't want to do business with you because we're worried about our image, or because we're worried about violence, or because we just don't want to? What's the right answer on that? Let me know what you think. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Once again, I do encourage you to check out firstliberty.org. They do a lot of great work.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Night on Saturday night. 9 o'clock. Radio's the only light.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey everyone, this is Nick Schroer from Stand and Fight every Sunday 8 to 10 p.m. If you need tree removal, storm damage, repairs to trees, tree trimming, pruning, if your bushes are out of control, call River City Tree Service. Free quotes right now, 314-270-8071, 314-270-8071. Professional tree services performed by ISA certified arborists. Request your free quote at rivercitytreeservice.com.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Rev up your summer with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down on a John Deere compact tractor. You can purchase a 1 Series tractor for less than $10 a day. It's time to elevate your equipment game with a hard-working, versatile tractor. Don't let this sizzling hot deal on compact tractors slip away. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/31/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Okay, the tinderbox that is the Middle East could be heating up some more after the death of one nation's leader.
Oh man,
this could be big game.
Yeah, I saw this, and I'm wondering what the fall is going to be. I think we're still all waited with bated breath here.
Yeah, we'll tell you what we do know, which isn't a huge amount, but we'll tell you what's going on, and the possibilities here are basically endless, and this could be big.
Yeah.
All right. Missouri voters being asked to amend the state's constitution when it comes to voting. We'll get to that in a second. And playoff football back in St. Louis.
Okay.
All part of the morning news dump here. All right. It is 6:49 right now. Gabe's here. Stell's here. I'm Mike. All right. State media in Iran is reporting that their president, Ibrahim Raisi, is among those killed in a helicopter crash. The aircraft reportedly went down near a small village called Uzi on Sunday, and it took them about 12 hours to find the wreckage. And they found it with drones. They're probably getting near the wreckage now at this point, but it was up like on a hilltop, mountainside, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there were other state officials there as well. Now, remember, this particular president, Ibrahim Raisi, this is a hardliner.
Yes.
I mean, this is a woman, put your hijab on, or we're going to beat you or shoot you kind of thing. I mean, this is a hardliner who was likely to be the next supreme leader. The supreme leader, the Ayatollah, still basically runs Iran.
Right.
These are the ones, this guy and the supreme leader are the ones believed to be funding the Houthis, funding, many of the terrorism attacks on Israel, outsourcing. I mean, this is an ally of Russia.
Yeah.
So, we've got a bad guy that got killed, and evidence so far indicates that it was weather or some other related. There's nothing that's being reported that would say that there's some assassination attempt or anything like that. But the facts don't really matter in this part of the world.
Oh no! If you can spin the death of someone or something, the destruction of something into a reason to spur to action against the hated enemies, the big and the little Satan, right? Then that's what they're going to do. They've been doing that since day one, right? So I can imagine that this could easily be turned into a propaganda machine for more action.
You try to make the president a martyr.
Yes.
And then find a way to blame it on either Israel or the United States, whether the facts support it or not.
Right.
And then you've got an effort to try to, basically gin up the Islamic, basically the call to arms that the Islamic nations will feel the pressure to go after Israel. I mean, that's literally the outcome of what their faith tells them to do.
So it's the possibility of a new Intifada season, basically in the Middle East is definitely on the horizon.
Right. So this could just be an accident. Could be dissident from within Iran.
Sure.
I had somebody ask me over the weekend, do you think that we could have had something to do with this? I couldn't imagine that would be in our best interest.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that the Biden administration would want there to be any sort of problems with
I
this.
don't think the Biden White House is authorizing any kind of action like that.
I don't think so either. And
they just gave him $6 billion. What?
Right. Yeah. And Israel, obviously is already fighting the front against Hamas. They don't need more direct nukes from Iran or anything.
It wouldn't be valuable to their war effort.
None of it makes any sense that it was anything other than an accident. I'm not saying that we know for sure. We don't know.
Sure.
But they're going to jump the gun, so to speak. So let's try to wait out and see what the facts are, if we ever know what the facts are, because from that region of the world, I mean, hell, from the United States, we can barely get the facts.
You're right.
Different government agencies here, much less one over there.
Yeah. So I am wondering where they're going to take this, where the regime is going to decide to take this. So we're all sitting on pins and needles, I guess.
Yeah,
right now.
We're going to have to watch very, very carefully next couple weeks. Okay, President Biden delivering the commencement address at Morehouse College in Atlanta on Sunday.
I saw it. It was so inspiring.
Your country hates you.
Yes, I know. I heard.
Black people love their country, but their country doesn't love black people.
Yeah.
Did you see his vehicles going to the college?
I didn't.
There was some video, maybe 10 people out on the street.
Oh.
Watching the vehicles go by and nobody waved. Yeah, the motorcade go by. and there they go down through Atlanta, and there was nobody even. And it's a little bit surprising considering it's Atlanta.
Oh, I was going to say it. I mean, I've driven through Atlanta at 4:30 in the morning, and there's traffic. Atlanta traffic sucks.
Yes.
Second worst I've ever been in.
It is a horribly planned city in terms of traffic. Yeah.
And the only place you could see folks actually watching the motorcade go by was folks who would come out of a church that was on a corner. And so there were about 30 or 40 people standing on the corner. Other than that, barely, maybe some tourists. And that was about it.
What's that?
I've been stuck in a traffic caused by a presidential motorcade before.
Yeah.
Vice presidential, actually. I got stuck behind when they shut off a bunch of roads for Al Gore.
Oh yeah.
And there was nothing you could do. You just got to sit there because the Secret Service shuts off all the roads and
wait it out.
And you just had to wait it out. But during the remarks at the commencement address at Morehouse, President Biden addressed the protests that are happening around the country, the pro-Hamas protest, especially on college campuses.
I want to say this very clearly. I support peaceful nonviolent protest. Your voices should be heard. And I promise you, I hear them.
Okay, when he says, I promise you I hear them, what's he telling them?
Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, but he's almost validating.
Let me validate your feelings.
Yes. Yeah, precisely.
It's like, I hear you. Well, I mean, look, there's also the type of I hear you that my dad used to say when kids should have been in bed. I hear you in there. Oh, that's a different kind of. You didn't want him to hear you.
That wasn't this.
Yeah.
This was I validate you.
Yeah.
I hear you. We see. No. So all of these idiot anti-Semitic bigots.
Oh yeah,
were just validated by the president.
Here's your endorsement.
Yeah,
from the prez.
Then you wonder why it keeps happening. He's trying to reach out to that fringe left.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, by the way, in terms of his reference to America still hating black people. Now, to be fair, he probably still is stuck in 1962.
Probably.
So
man, it was ridiculous. All right, I want to talk about this around 7:05 as part of a bigger picture. Doctors say a city police officer might lose the use of one of his eyes after being attacked by a woman and her daughter. This happened late last week. The officer was called to the Penrose neighborhood on Friday. Police say the disturbance became a fight while the cops were there.
Yeah.
And the police say they were moving in to try to break it up. And the 16-year-old attacked somebody. Police officer was trying to arrest her, and that girl's mom jumped on his back and wrapped up his arms. That gave the 16-year-old girl the chance to grab his flashlight and start beating him in the face with it.
Oh my gosh.
As a result, he may lose the vision in his left eye. 35-year-old Camaria S. Williams and the 16-year-old daughter, who's not been named, face felony assault charges.
Yeah, see, this type of stuff always, gives the lie to the idea that that these people are afraid of police. Because if I'm afraid of somebody who has a gun and the authority to arrest me, I'm not going to jump on their back.
Right.
When they're doing stuff.
Yeah. Let's 7:05.
Yeah.
I want to expand on this.
Yeah.
All right. Battlehawks clinched their spot in the UFL playoffs. Sunday's 26-21 win over the Defenders guarantee them a place in the XFL Conference Championship. Here's Coach Anthony Becht.
So happy for our fans that we kind of get some redemption here from last season, getting squeezed out. And now we're back in the show, but there's a lot to play for even more. We won 2 home games. Obviously, that's the goal. We got to continue to fight, and we got a big game against a very good, improving Arlington team. But, happy about the performance today, and it was a great team victory.
All right, Battlehawks on the road next week to play the Renegades on Saturday before wrapping up the regular season June 1st at home against the Brahmas.
Number 1 for live and local
conservative talk.
They always have a great conversation.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Charlottesville was a little peanut, and the hate wasn't the kind of hate that you have here.
There's an anti-Semitic surge here that has terrible consequences.
We will continue to protest.
The crime that they are accusing President Trump of is falsification of business records.
There are 34 of them alleged.
There is an insufficient amount of evidence.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. In Iran, Iranian state TV announcing the deaths of the Iranian president, the foreign minister, and several other high-ranking officials.
Rescuers found the helicopter that was carrying Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi, the country's foreign minister, and other officials that apparently crashed in mountains in northwest Iran. The head of the Iranian Red Crescent Society says rescuers saw the helicopter from a distance of 1.25 miles and saw no signs of life. Footage released by the Islamic Republic News Agency shows what the agency describes as the crash site across a steep valley in a green mountain range. I'm Donna Warder.
It was a friendly audience at a Trump rally over the weekend. Mr. Trump spoke of preserving the Second Amendment, the former president addressing the National Rifle Association convention in Dallas.
The survival of our Second Amendment is very much on the ballot. You know what they want to do? They're going to, if they get in, our country is going to be destroyed in so many ways, but the Second Amendment will be, it's under siege.
Today, Mr. Trump must return to a Manhattan courtroom for his criminal trial, which is winding down. Former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen due back on the witness stand today. We don't yet know if Mr. Trump himself will be taking the stand. There's a good deal of property damage following powerful storms in Oklahoma, several tornadoes confirmed. The hulking container ship that crashed into and brought down Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge back in March is on the move this morning, the vessel being slowly moved from the crash scene to the port of Baltimore. It's a distance of less than 3 miles, but the ship is moving along at a speed of less than 1 mile per hour. And on Wall Street, stock futures pointing to a higher open later in the morning. The Dow futures up 25 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
Trish Regan provides the analysis you need each day on the Trish Regan podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
The Democrats keep getting this one wrong. They think that they can just flip states. That suddenly all the Hispanics are going to vote for Joe Biden. And in fact, what you're actually seeing in places like Texas is Hispanics. They're overwhelmingly coming out in favor of Trump.
Subscribe to the Trish Regan podcast today on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at Salem Podcast.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, boy, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Attention. This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple saw Darius.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
Okay, does the region's success, I mean, the whole St. Louis metro area, does it depend on the city revitalizing?
Mm.
Because that's going to set up everything else I'm about to ask you.
It probably used to.
Yeah.
I don't think it does now.
It's kind of where I am. Because, I've heard a lot of people, both, nonprofit sector, obviously city officials are saying that used to be the business community says that, well, the St. Louis is the engine of the state's economy. I don't know that it is anymore, but they say we can't have a vibrant region unless the city is revitalized. I think we're proving that we can in other parts of the area. Of course, this is all following up the report that St. Louis City lost another 4,400 residents over the most recent 12 months where they were able to measure that according to the Census Bureau. So how can the city revitalize when nobody wants to go there anymore? And I'm not being flippant here because I just talked about that crime story. And I think that a lot of the city officials and the media, they want to separate out what's happening on the streets, particularly of downtown, particularly of South City, North City. I mean, you can go just about anywhere in the city. I mean, if it's not Lindell or Central West End, pretty much anywhere. And they can't separate all that, saying, well, that's a separate issue. We're revitalizing here.
Yeah.
We're going to rebuild the old train station building. We're going to it is all connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy to think that they'll be talking out of one side of their mouths about, defunding police essentially and changing to community policing or whatever new concept they're trying to come up with or the use of social workers and things like that, while dealing with massive, public safety issues, and then talk about, revitalizing.
Right.
Like, really?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we had the effort to merge the city and the county.
Thank God that
pretty much everybody in the county looked at this for what it actually is.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just a grab of the money and the resources from the county to go backfill into the city without addressing the actual problems in the city.
Right.
Okay. And I am kind of on the line where you are in that I think if the city of St. Louis hollows out, which is what it's doing right now, the rest of the region can grow and flourish and thrive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily going to that flight's going to necessarily chase outside of the city.
It used to be, prior to the rapid development of, West County, St. Charles area and things like that.
Yeah.
And even South County, prior to their rapid ascension in terms of them being an economic powerhouse. Yes, it would have been downtown or nothing kind of thing. That's where all the economic activity was. That's kind of the center of the economic life of the state was for the most part. But now, basically, what used to be an economic center in the city has diffused into these outer areas, and now we have these other nodes of major major prosperity essentially that are there. Their development is going to far outshine anything that would be going on in the city at this point.
Right. Now I'm bringing this to a bigger question because I was looking at this story that we're now being told that one of the St. Louis City police officers may lose rather the use of his left eye. I mean, obviously that's hits me a little bit.
Yeah.
I've lost the vision of my left eye for totally unrelated, reasons, something totally different than this guy here. But I'm thinking, how are you going to be a police officer if you can't see out the left eye?
You're not. I mean, he might get a desk job. I mean, they might be able to.
He'll get desk duty.
Yeah. I mean,
but that's for the rest of his career.
Merging onto the highway, if I've got to have one of those cars that has a beeping thing because it's tough on the left side here. One of our bosses, Joe, the other day, needed to get my attention. He was literally standing next to me at my desk. I had no clue because he was on my left side.
Right.
And so I can really empathize with that aspect. Obviously, I didn't lose it in a violent anything.
Is that when you screamed, by the way, when Joe was standing next to you? Whoa! What are you doing there?
Yeah. And so here's what happened is there's a big disturbance. The police officers are called. They're telling everybody, get in your cars, go. They're trying to get them to leave. This is according to police reports. And the 16-year-old charged at somebody. And the police officer got in the middle, got her down on the ground, was getting ready to arrest her because she assaulted somebody.
Yeah. You can't commit a crime in front of a cop and not have a result like that.
And then the police say the mother, Camaria S. Williams, 35 years old, jumped on the police officer's back and wrapped her hands around him. And that's when the 16-year-old somehow dislodged the police officer's flashlight, which if you've seen these things,
they're basically batons.
They're batons. And started whacking him in the head and in the eye and in the face. And that's what could cause his eyesight to be lost in that left eye.
I can imagine.
Yeah, this happened Friday night. It was on Carter Avenue. So Penrose neighborhood is where this happened. And so somebody may say, well, what's that got to do with the contracts to revitalize all these areas? Look, we know some things can get done. Look at Ballpark Village. Well, Ballpark Village is very successful. I just had lunch there last week.
Oh, yeah.
But go a block or two outside of Ballpark Village and everything else around there has been killed off. So
that's right.
You're not getting the subsidies from these special taxing districts. You're at a competitive disadvantage.
And we saw that Wall Street Journal article a few weeks ago
Yeah.
that pointed out what's been going on downtown. And as you mentioned this, Mike, it crosses my mind. Look at cities like Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore, cities that have had problems in their inner city. Baltimore's come around a bit. They're not quite as desolate as it used to be downtown.
Detroit is trying.
But boy, Detroit's trying, but man, it is tough to turn it around in anything short of, I'm going to say maybe 10, 15, 20 years. It's going to take a while to get this thing turned around. Cleveland's the same way. You go to downtown Cleveland, not a whole lot going on there, but the suburbs are doing okay.
The thing about commerce is in order to actually experience growth, you have to increase the number of customers you get. So St. Louis City needs to increase the customers. So that's both the ones who live there and the ones who come into the city for various things, right? If people are moving out of the city, that's a decrease in your customer base. If nobody wants to go into the city because it's dangerous, that's another decrease in your customer base. So where is all the supposed growth going to come from just because you build? We're not talking, it's not a field of dreams. It's not if you build it, they will come. You can build it, but I'm not going down there.
They can build it and somebody may come for a little while.
Like the AT&T building.
Like the AT&T building, like Square, you can go down the
line.
They
may take a chance.
If the incentives are enough.
Yes.
But why did Square? Why did Square leave Jack Dorsey's product there? Why did they leave? Too dangerous.
Yeah.
That's why they left.
They were very specific about it.
They had too many problems, so they've shut down out there. And we have policymakers, the mayor, her pronouns are she, her, hers. So
That's right. That's right.
They want to do the ribbon cuttings and they want to overregulate businesses. They want to overregulate landlords. They want to overregulate people. And then at the same time, they will be first to throw the police department under the bus. They won't staff emergency services. The 911 system doesn't guarantee that somebody will get to you within a half an hour, if ever. They multiple cases of this.
They've demoralized that entire system such that we don't have any new recruits coming in either.
Right. And many of the recruits aren't finishing the product because you look at or finishing the class Because you look at what happened right now.
Mm-hmm.
That police officer was trying to stop somebody actively assaulting somebody else, if what the police report's saying is true.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody thought twice about attacking the police officer and beating him in the face.
Right.
A 16-year-old. You cannot separate that aspect of the city culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying the city culture.
Yes.
This will happen in South City too. This will happen, it's not just in that urban core itself. This is what we know is the culture in St. Louis. Do donuts. They're putting these great big, when did they put up those concrete barriers to try to stop the drag racing? About what, a year ago downtown, down there off of Olive and some of the others. And what's the other one that they were doing? Turner. And so they're trying to be symptomatic without addressing the actual problems.
Right.
So, look what happened to Janae Edmondson. These are all high profile things, and they wish that we would stop talking about. And even though we don't bring up most of the crime that happens.
Oh, no.
But we're at a culmination right now where the city leaders, appointed and elected, refuse to look at a major part of the reason that the city is dying and has such a terrible reputation, because they don't want to deal with it holistically. And we've got there's something of a mindset that basically says, under no circumstances will we improve organically.
Right.
There are nonprofits and ministries, and they're trying to get that done, but they are up against prevailing winds that say, remain a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the check.
Yeah. Gosh,
Passion.
yes. That's right. That's right. I mean, look at it comes from the top too. I mean, it's being, at the very least, it's being affirmed at the top.
Mm-hmm.
With Joe, you look at Joe Biden's commencement speech at Morehouse, which is a historically black college, a mostly black graduating class. And he's just telling them essentially, I hear your victimhood.
Right.
I'm here to affirm your victimhood in America. Me, the leader of America, I'm going to affirm your victimhood. And that's important that we recognize that. So, and that type of stuff, that it filters all the way down through everything that we talk about. It's there's an assumption that the police are working against you, even, to the point where you feel justified in attacking the police officer from trying to make an arrest, because if the police are trying to do something, it must be bad.
Right. I mean, I don't, at the risk of sounding like the old curmudgeon kids these days.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
But that's not generational. This is cultural. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Yes. Yes.
And if I say that, somebody's going to go after me, but why is it people don't want to go downtown? They don't want to say, I'm not going downtown because they haven't signed enough revitalization contracts. They're not saying I'm not going downtown because there aren't enough special taxing districts.
We need an opportunity zone out there. Come on.
Right.
I'm not going to go down there. They don't have the opportunity zone, Mike.
They're saying we're not going downtown because it's dangerous.
That's right. I mean, and even when they point to the quote unquote successes, like Ballpark Village, that's just moving money from outside Ballpark Village into Ballpark Village.
Right.
It's not attracting anything new.
Yeah. Go to that Italian place 2 blocks away that's been there forever. Oh, no. You can't.
Yeah. It's closed.
Yeah. Oh, Charlie Gito's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. Iran's president killed in a helicopter crash. Folks, keep your eye on this. This could be big. We'll talk about that just ahead.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You want to give me more information? You want to take the place of what I trust?
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Springtime in St. Louis means one thing. That's right. Golf is back, baby. Whether you're a beginner or a scratch golfer, you're sure to enjoy your golf experience at Sugar Creek Golf Course. Sugar Creek is a scenic and challenging course and well suited to golfers of all abilities. Located in High Ridge, just 10 minutes from 270 and Gravois. At Sugar Creek Golf Course, our courteous and professional staff has one goal: to make sure your golf experience is enjoyable. To book your tee time or to learn more about the special event and banquet facilities, simply visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Columbo and Cady.
Harrison County Board of Education is punishing and suspending 13-year-old girls from being able to compete in their sport because they didn't want to compete against a boy. Meanwhile, protesters violently taking over buildings and breaking the law and threatening violence, they're not being punished, but these 13-year-old girls are.
Tony Columbo, Cady Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL. Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I was listening to the radio.
Little Eddie Money there.
Love this tune.
Yeah. His stuff in the 80s was really good stuff.
It really was.
Yeah.
Put out some great albums.
Yeah. All right. Iran's president killed in a helicopter crash. This could be a spark used to try for another war.
Absolutely.
Don't think for a minute that this might not eventually affect the United States. I say eventually. It could be actually sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I mean, historically, death of leaders has often led to conflict. Now, usually it's because somebody else did it, but in this case, they could spin this however they want.
Exactly. That's what to watch for. Okay. 314-912-1019. All right. Don't forget, here's what we're going to talk about just ahead here. What's next for conservatives? Going to talk a little more specifically about the Missouri side here for this one. Let's assess what went right, what went wrong, and more importantly, what's next for the conservative efforts, free market efforts. Let's do that at 7:35. All right. So here's what little we know. The president of Iran, Ibrahim Raisi, was in a helicopter that crashed on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, after about 12 hours, when they lost contact with the helicopter, they were able to locate the wreckage. They're probably getting to the wreckage about now, because what they were doing before was using drones to confirm that was the helicopter and that there are no signs of life there. The president, there's an Iman
Mm-hmm.
from one of the, I guess, main mosques there as well, along with a couple of other national officials, appointed officials, were with the president when it crashed. And so there's going to be a new president, obviously named. This particular president worked very closely with the Ayatollah, the supreme leader of Iran. That's who really calls the shots with Iran. But this was the supreme leader's protege who was being basically being prepared to become the next Ayatollah.
Yikes.
This guy was a hardliner. This guy's got a lot of blood on his hands. I'm going to go ahead and piss some people off and say this guy has been planted firmly in hell.
Yes.
And I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But here's where we go from here is that right now, what little information we have, and first of all, what little information we have is being shaped a lot by Iranian state TV. So question anything that comes out of that. But at the second point is that at this point, it looks like it's just a helicopter crash.
Right. And those actually happen a lot. They're kind of inherently unstable aircraft.
Right. Yeah. And it was up in the mountains and up in a wooded, area of a mountain area. So we're going to get more information throughout the next day or so. But the question then becomes what happens next? Because logically, if it turns out that this is a helicopter crash, that is, I mean, think of how many helicopter crashes have killed famous people, Kobe Bryant, Stevie Ray Vaughan. You can, helicopters, like you said, are not as stable and they're susceptible to more things. It doesn't matter if that's all that it is.
Right. If it's just an accident.
Yeah. I actually had somebody text me over the weekend saying, is it possible that we, false flag operation, that we had something to do with this? And it wouldn't make any sense for the United States to want something like this to happen.
Well, first of all, it wouldn't be in our interest to do so, even if we, had the will to do it. And I don't think this White House, this administration, has the will to do anything against Iran, especially after we just gifted them $6 billion and just say, oh no, let's cool off our sanctions and all that.
Yeah, and some, of course, the more likely outcome could be they accuse Israel of assassinating him.
Yes.
And
because it's easy to do.
Right, because it's easy to do, and it makes no difference if it's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
We know that Iran has been funding the Houthis, and we know Iran has been funding
Hamas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have literally been funding the effort to wipe Israel off the map and extinguish the Jewish people from the face of the earth. So it would be easy for them to go to the other Islamic nations in the Middle East and say, look at this, they've assassinated our leader, whether Israel had anything to do with it or not. And nobody can say definitively one way or the other. There's just no evidence at this point of it.
Right.
So if this is to be the tactic that they take, then the effort would be to start a full-on shooting war with Israel. And at that point, the Biden administration would have a choice to make to either back up his talk about, well, we're committed to Israel's defense and security. Because it would get very, 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 very real at that point. This is likely to be the biggest test of the Biden administration's diplomacy. Now, let me say this in a way that's probably going to make some people mad.
Mm-hmm.
As Americans, we should be hoping that our administration can successfully be diplomatic and get through this in one, the way that advances our interest, but two, keeps a lid on things to where it doesn't turn into a shooting or, God forbid, a nuclear war.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're kind of sitting on this gigantic tinderbox that is the Middle East, and the sparks are flying. So, gosh, we really need leadership to come through. And please don't do this whole, well, if he screws this up, maybe that'll help our electoral chances stuff. Don't, my goodness. I look. We gotta keep out of World War III first,
right?
Before we worry about the next leader of the free world here.
I really appreciate you saying that, because that is absolutely true. We've got to stay out of our partisan tribalism here.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think Joe Biden's up for the job? No,
I don't.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, I'm crossing my fingers though that he can navigate through this, or at least hold it off until we get a replacement in there.
But you look at the nations around Israel. I mean, you look at the nations, the way that, and there are tenuous relationships between Iran and some of the other Islamic nations.
Mm-hmm.
There are the more hardliners and there are the more, modern ones, or what they call moderate ones. But don't think for a minute that when push comes to shove and a moderate Islamic state is told you must make a choice between Israel and the United States and the other Islamic nations, you know who they're picking? The other Islamic nations.
They absolutely are.
Don't think for a minute that any of the relationships that we have with nations that are generally somewhat friendly to us now through trade and things like that couldn't be wiped out in a minute. We're going to value the free trade and the peace more than what cultures in the Middle East are going to value them. They're going to obviously value their religious teachings more so. That's just an ancient society that thinks differently than the way that we think here. And I mean that in a way that says, even, with Americans with a variety of different religious beliefs, many of them going back to ancient years, we don't have that deep-seated, culture thought process here in the United States.
Yeah, I think they're the ancient based Islamic nations right now. They operate under a completely different set of rules than what modern Western cultures do. They really do. So trying to figure out how they're going to respond to things and what they're going to respond to means you actually have to put yourself in a completely different mindset. And you have to just accept that that's the truth. It's like, well, why would they do this? Because X, Y, and Z is like, if I were in their shoes, I would. No, you're not in their shoes. You have to completely change the shoes. We're not even saying the shoe store. We're not even talking about footwear. They live in a very different universe than we do, and in order to deal with them, we're going to have to come at them from a very different stance. And I think that stance tends to be strength. It tends to be kind of brutality on some level. If you hit them really, really, really hard, it's like, maybe I'm not going to mess with these guys.
Right. At least not now.
Not now.
They want to mess with us. They
Yes.
want the war.
Yes.
They want the war. Let me make it very, very clear.
And if they sense weakness, they're going to get it.
They're going to go for it. And something like this, all it takes is a propaganda arm of the government saying, we found evidence that Israel put a bomb on that helicopter.
Yep.
Somebody from the Mossad, caused this assassination, whatever the case is. I don't know, the Jewish space lasers that some American politicians complained about change the wind. I mean, whatever they come up with.
Yes. American weather control machine.
Right.
Caused a storm right there.
Yeah. And so anytime they can do that, there are so many hardliners who just want the excuse. They're arming up right now. They are polishing off their weaponry right now, saying, give me the excuse. And don't think for a minute that there aren't plenty of people who want that apocalyptic outcome, that there are people who absolutely want the hot war to happen. They want to go to war with Israel. They want to go to war with the United States. And right now, the United States is so divided that I don't know that we could stand and withstand a war right now. I don't know. We don't have the leadership to do it. We don't have the culture to do it here.
Yeah.
We just don't.
No.
All right. 314-912-1019. It used to be we could count on all of us coming together when right and wrong is clear, and right and wrong is clear here, but we're not coming together. We would unite in a just cause. And I don't know that we would unite because we have so many people who are with the unjust.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we understand as a culture anymore we don't recognize the same standard of justice.
No,
we don't.
We don't. All right, just ahead here. Let's get a little closer to home here. What's next for conservatives and free markets in Missouri? We got a mixed bag result when it came to good conservative freedom-based stuff in the Missouri legislature. So where do we go from here, especially noting some of the bigger failures that happened? We'll talk about that with our friends from Americans for Prosperity right around 7:34.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Stating the obvious, there are only 2 genders, male and female. Any kid growing up on a farm knows that is a fact. You disagree? Try to milk a bull. Just the same, NBC Universal Peacock Network releasing a new series emphasizing the animal kingdom, claiming this will prove the idea of just having 2 sexes is out of style. A video shows a male lion supposedly trying to mate with another male lion. And a woman's voice says, Mother Nature is pretty open-minded, suggesting if you don't accept this, you are homophobic. Immediately, Twitter accounts were lighting up, and just like that, millions of Peacock accounts got canceled. NBC is going to release this series in June 6th, to begin Pride Month. Hey, if you're gay or lesbian adults, I really don't care. In fact, I have some gay friends, mostly conservative in politics. But in this latest production, as one Twitter account said, they keep this up, soon they'll be doing shows normalizing humans having relations with animals. And we're supposed to just simply accept it and encourage children.
Yeah.
More Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Pigeons, they are everywhere, and they're very good at dive bombing freshly washed cars. Wellington Environmental reminds you those droppings are more than a nuisance. They can be a major health issue, especially massive droppings on buildings or in parking garages. So who do you call to safely clean it up? You do what many hospitals, universities, public buildings already do. You call Wellington Environmental. Wellington Environmental has been dealing with all kinds of hazards for 35 years. Special people, special skills, special equipment. Wellington gets it done. So to avoid health issues ranging from pigeon droppings to mold to chemical leaks, contact Wellington. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Columbo and Cady, Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Columbo and Cady.
See you then.
I've been thinking about our fortune, and I decided that we're really not to blame.
All right, what's next for conservatives in Missouri? And I'm talking actual conservatism. I'm talking limited government. I'm talking free markets. We got a kind of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
With the most recent legislative session.
Well, if you include all the turds in there, that's mixed in with the occasional good thing.
But
I suppose that's mixed.
It wasn't a swag bag.
It wasn't a swag bag. You didn't want this.
There were a few
Positive
huge
things.
positives.
Yeah,
in
yeah, there are.
Just
Yeah.
everything's obviously got drugged down over some of the other biggest issues there. By the way, would you like to bring the morning show to you?
Yeah.
We are looking at on Fridays, hitting the road. Where would you like to see us do in the morning show? Maybe from your favorite diner, your favorite cafe, your favorite coffee shop, your favorite, I don't know, your favorite store, whatever business takes a stand for the right things. Send me an email, Mike, M-I-K-E, @newstalkstl.com. And we may be able to work out coming out on a Flashback Friday and doing the morning show from your part of the world here. We'd love to do that. All right, 7:37 right now. Jeremy Cady is with Americans for Prosperity Missouri. And Jeremy, one of the things that we have to look at, obviously, there's the big issues that failed and a lot of conservatives are very frustrated with, especially since it was Republican leadership that was really pulling the strings. But when you look at the entire legislative session that just passed, there were some bright spots in there. There were some good things, but I didn't see anything that said, all right, we got it. We accomplished that. Let's move on to something else. The successes that were had, like, for instance, an expansion of school choice, are things that we need to look at down the road to say, okay, how do we expand on the good things that did happen? Did anything jump out at you that we just need to remind ourselves, big victory for limited government conservative stuff versus, well, we got a lot of work to do next year?
Well, unfortunately, and this has been the case many sessions in a row now, every win that we do get as conservatives is a small win. It's a hard-fought win, but it's generally a very, very small win. So to your point, we did get the ESA expansions. We can do instead of $50 million cap on scholarships, we can do $75 million. Fortunately now, if you meet all the other requirements, any student in the state of Missouri can participate in the ESA program. So that's a great win right there. Also with virtual schools, That was expanded as well, so more students across the state of Missouri can participate in those. One of the other items that I think many of your listeners probably don't know about, but we did get regulatory sandboxes finally done. I think we are the first state in the union that went full universal with our regulatory sandboxes. Oftentimes they'll start off with like the financial sector or something like that. But right now, any business with a new innovative idea that's maybe running afoul of the rules because the rules were written 100 years ago can actually apply for a regulatory sandbox once this law goes into effect. And hopefully it's signed by the governor, but once it goes into effect, and apply for a regulatory sandbox. So then that way they can rewrite the rules a little bit to allow them to test their project and service to make sure that it's not harming someone. But if it doesn't, then we need to relook at the laws and the rules anyway. So that's a big win right there. But otherwise, we got a lot more corporate tax credits that were passed. No other real reforms. We're missing, like you said, there's still more to do on education, a lot more to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, this was a small baby step. We didn't cut any taxes this year. There were some fixes, I think, to the senior tax credit or the senior property tax freezes across the state. But again, it's our opinion that if you're going to be freezing property taxes, it's good to do it for everybody and not just one demographic. There was no real healthcare reforms passed. I would say one big one that we did get is they did cut the budget. This is the first time we've got a smaller budget than the year before since 2009. And in 2009, it was required because if you recall, the economy at the time was going into the tank. General revenues were a lot less, so we were forced to cut the budget. This time, we voluntarily cut the budget less than what we did last year. I think it was 2.4% less of general revenue. So that's a huge win, I think, for conservatives right there. And as much as we had the issues between the House and the Senate and everything being held up, that holdup actually helped empower the House to make those cuts. And so I give a lot of credit to Representative Cody Smith, the budget chair, and the House for being able to get those cuts through.
Morning, Jeremy. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So we heard about the good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the bad and the ugly, I suppose. The things that didn't get through the initiative petition reform, I guess, being primo of that. But what other issues were kind of left on the table?
So we got IP reform, did not get through. I know that was a big one that conservatives were pushing for, across the state. Another one that did get through, and I apologize for missing this one a little bit earlier, was we did get the Planned Parenthood defunding.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I know that was something big that conservatives were pushing through. But I think the other big things, we got more corporate income taxes. No real tax cuts were done. I know there was a bill to actually eliminate the corporate income taxes and at the same time eliminate tax credits. So it did all of the above, so it eliminated the cronyism and also cut taxes for everybody. So I thought that was a good one that was left on the table. And so, yeah, there's telehealth services was left on the table. APRNs, that still needs to be expanded. The repeal of certificate of need, that's where if you want to start a new hospital and you've got the funds to invest to do it, you still have to get permission from your competitors to be able to do that. That's still left on the table. I think until we get to the point where we have zero income tax, every child has the opportunity to seek whatever education that they might need. There's still a lot of work to do, and all of that was still left on the table, unfortunately. I would say one of the highlights for the year, only 46 total bills passed for the year. 18 of those were appropriation and budget bills, so that's only about 28 bills. So of the bad stuff that was done, it was fairly limited, but at the same time, that means not a whole lot of good stuff got through either.
Right now, you're talking about the certificate of need. And when I was at the Show Me Institute, I learned a lot more about that. That's one of those things that's really wonky, Jeremy. But once people realize what the rules are in place to protect the special interest, they get mad about it because, I mean, for some reason, the thing that we're told, we need more access to and the market needs to deliver more of, which would lower prices. Well, that's protected by the regulatory scheme in the state. And like Jeremy was saying, literally, if you want to open up a medical facility, you've got to go get the permission of your competition to have them agree that there's enough room for you in the market. Try doing that with a used car. Try doing that with an Italian restaurant. I mean, try doing that with anything else. But for some reason, the thing that we say we need the most access to, we have barriers to. We're visiting with Jeremy Cady from Americans for Prosperity with the Missouri chapter, obviously. Okay, so we don't know what's going to happen as far as like, special sessions or anything like that. But at this point, right now, there's a lot of frustration with some, real free marketeers on the right. I mean, there's a lot of frustration with some of the things that did not get done. And so when it comes to setting our priorities, what's the messaging? Because this messaging going into the primary elections, going into the general elections, that's going to set the tone for what actually gets done in January. And Jeremy, I think there's a lot of conservatives who are about done with the partisanship, saying, don't tell me that the other guy's worse, so therefore you have to support me. No, we don't, if you're not going to do anything. So what do we need to get across to them over the next, 4 or 5 months?
Well, and that's one of the things we need to keep in mind. So the regulatory sandbox is passed with bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate. So I think it was 117 votes in the House and 32 votes in the Senate. So that was bipartisan. Education reform should be wholly bipartisan. 65% of Missourians support expanding educational freedom for Missouri families. That's a huge bipartisan number. So you're correct. Like, we shouldn't get bogged down in all these partisan politics. But at the same time, though, that's what we're focusing on next. Right now, we're still going through. We're reviewing and looking and recruiting, potential candidates across the state of Missouri to see, who we need to be supporting, who we need to be pushing across the finish line. A lot of it's going to come down to August on the primaries, making sure that we've got good, strong Republicans that can come in the primary, win the general, and then also make sure that they can put these reforms on the table next session and actually get it done. That's a key thing there, actually get it done. And so that's what we're looking forward to right now, is all the political work that needs to be done and helping Missourians get engaged in that and start setting the tone, telling candidates, we want education reform. We want to be able to educate our kids however we want, however we see fit, whatever they need. Tell candidates that we need more tax cuts. Prices are still going through the roof. Inflation is still going up. People are still having a hard time. The job market is starting to crater right now. And so there's a whole lot of issues that we need. And if we're going to inject a lot more prosperity into our market, we need people to be able to keep more of their own money, whether it's companies or individuals alike, families. And so we need that to be done. Again, if we're going to be able to take care of ourselves, we need access to good quality, affordable healthcare. And you do that by injecting the free market and ensuring people can compete.
Yeah, without a doubt. All right, Jeremy, Cady from Americans for Prosperity. How do people follow what you're doing? Specifically in Missouri, there's Americans for Prosperity chapters all over the country. Our friends in Illinois have them as well. But for Missouri in particular, because now's not the time to say, okay, I'm walking away. Take a break, catch your breath, but get ready to push for this. Again, it shouldn't be this hard with a supermajority so-called Republican legislature, but we got to keep fighting, Jeremy.
No, absolutely. So the best way is on social media. So we're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can look us up by AFP Missouri, and that's where you'll find the local items that we're working on. And again, most of it's going to be political right now. So through the end of the year, we're going to be engaged with candidates all across the state of Missouri, ensuring that we have freedom lovers, liberty lovers, folks that want to inject the free market and ensure that we can compete, but also inject prosperity. That's what this is all about: freedom and prosperity.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, thank you, sir. You have a great day.
Thanks, Jeremy.
All right, 314-912-1019. Okay, let me tell you what's coming up after we do the information segment at the top of the hour. Then I'll tell you what's coming up here in just a minute or so.
Okay.
St. Charles, looking at closing some library branches. Boy, this has got some people worked up.
Oh gosh, I heard there was a meeting and it was very contentious.
It was not a lot of warm fuzzies from what Channel 4 is telling us. So we'll tell you what is proposed because they're looking at phasing out and closing at least 2 branches of the libraries in St. Charles County. Now, just ahead here. Okay, let's back up just a little bit.
Yeah. Let's take a breath.
What's the question? Not should government make you or not make you. If your boss has bereavement leave available, somebody passes away.
Okay.
I just had an uncle get out of the hospital. We had a little bit of a worry with him, but he's good. He's all good. He's all good. No bereavement leave needed. But what about if your pet dies? Does that count as bereavement as well?
Interesting.
That's a question that's apparently going through the employment and worker circles as to whether or not that should be added to something that you get time off for.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'll tell you what people are debating, and you tell me what you think right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. News, analysis, opinion.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. The sense that he hadn't shown up for debate.
We have long been saying President Trump is ready to do this.
Make my day, pal.
Here's what he's saying to Israel. Let me run the war for you. Here's my advice to Israel. Don't.
This trial is more about our politics than it does about our alleged crime.
This is nothing more than election interference at its finest.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
All right. A lot of storms coming through the area once again. And I don't know about you, but some people I know are looking down at the bottom of the window going, ooh, a little bit of moisture got through there. Maybe that's because it's going to be 90 degrees again. So the air conditioners are on and you want your home to be very, very thermally efficient. You walk by and you go, oh, wait a minute, there's a little breeze in there. That means that especially during the winter and especially during the summer, your house is not performing the best. You need to call my friends at Window World. Give them a call today. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. They are simply the best for less. 314-993-1800. By the way, if you go to News Talk STL social media, you'll see me actually standing on those windows there. Be sure to follow because it's a lot of fun. I hung out with them again last week, and they have got the products there that are less expensive, and they're a great investment in your home. And that means your heating bills and your cooling bills, just a tool to help keep them minimized. Energy costs are going up. They're going to keep going up. So why not get a lifetime warranted window that is double strength glass? If something goes wrong with this, they're going to make it right. And you say, well, what's the timeline? Basically forever. And transferable to the next person you sell your house to. So that's even a great investment as well. 314-993-1800. Let them come out, take some measurements. They will be in and out in about 45 minutes. That's what JB was telling me is their goal. They do not want to do that high pressure sales thing where they come in and just berate you. They don't want to be treated like that. These are St. Louisans too. They don't treat you like that. 314-993-1800. Tell them you heard Mike talking about them on the radio and say, well, time to upgrade the house. Let's hear what they have to say. And then they will show you what they can do, answer all your questions, make sure you've got all the information, and then get this. They will leave you alone to make your own decision. Talk it over in your house and then call them at 314-993-1800.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey, this is Rob Carter. Join me weeknights at 8 p.m. as I challenge our politicians, expose the political press, and analyze pop culture. It's the Rob Carter Show weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. here on News Talk STL. Now let's get back to the best men's league over 40 backstop in St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I paid the price for that one yesterday.
Oh, which one? Oh, being the backstop.
I got run over at home plate yesterday. I have not had that happen in like 25 years.
Just got trucked, huh?
I got trucked. It wasn't like the most brutal hit or anything like that. It was. The guy did not. Jeff did not mean to run into me that hard. It was just incidental. But I'm on the ground. I'm like, whoo, that hadn't happened in a while.
Oh man.
I'm fine.
Yes,
I'm fine.
Now he didn't do it on purpose.
No. I think he was surprised that my first baseman threw the ball to me and it got there so fast.
Aha.
Because I think he was thinking he was just going to run across the plate in the very last second. Oh crap! Mike's got the ball.
Oh, there's a guy in front of me.
And so he kind of like you put it best in the break is like he kind of turtled up to brace for impact.
Right.
And but by rule, that means he dropped his shoulder.
Right.
into
Yeah.
me.
So the man.
So umpire called him out, and that was the right rule. But
Yeah.
But I was like, man, I haven't been hit in a long time. I was actually one of those weird catchers when they changed the rules.
Mhm.
When did they do that? Still the 80s or 90s that they changed the rules?
Might have been in the 90s.
I think it was the 90s, where it's like you can't truck the catcher anymore. You can't run over you cannot Pete Rose the catcher anymore. And I've been run over a number of times, as a kid playing sports, and even I'm like, that's dumb. That happens in baseball.
Yeah,
it's
a thing.
But it's against the rules. It is what it is. Okay, 8:05. Man, St. Charles. You're gonna lose a couple library branches. It looks like.
Yes,
This has got people pretty up in arms here.
Heated.
Yeah. 314-912-111. We'll tell you what's going on here. There's going to be a meeting. Jeff, our boss who lives in St. Charles County, I guess it was tomorrow. There's going to be another discussion about it, but the decision is tabled for about another 30 days, but we'll get into more details at 8:05. I came across an interesting article over the past week or so. And it was actually on Channel 2's website, but it was one of those national stories that they just sort of posted. Tragically, we've all had, family members and, pass on, and all four of my grandparents are gone. My dad's gone, and you have to take time off to go, to the funeral. You have to go take time off, take care of the business, and you just need time off to mourn.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's bereavement leave. But I saw this story about a writer named Erica Sinner. She's got a book called Pets Are Family, and the entire thing is arguing that you should be able to take bereavement leave if your boss offers it when your pet dies.
Right. And it's a very interesting question, because I've had pets die. I've had a couple of my boys there, my dogs, they passed away, and I was surprised at how hard it hit me. I was like, this actually feels similar to losing a family member. You've been with the animal for well over 20 years, something like, or well over 10 years, I should say, a decade. It was like 15 years, I think, with my dogs. And they were part of your life. They were you did a lot for them. They were basically, look, I was not a pet parent, but there was some aspect of it where you're taking care of a kid. You got to feed them. You got to make sure they're up to date on their shots and all these other things. You have fun with them. You go on play dates, essentially. So there is some aspect of it that makes them feel like family. So I can understand at least the emotional connection there between mourning family and mourning a loss of a pet.
Yeah, I have to say, for me, and I'm more than willing to say this, after we lost our first dog, the rest of them, which, golly, I think it would be 5 since we've been married for 49 years, I can't be in there when they're put down.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Kathy can take it, and she's okay with it, but I can't take it at all. But I will say that a bereavement time off, I have a problem with that.
Yeah, that seems a little. I mean, I am one of those. Listen, I'm an animal lover. We have a pet now, but I've gone years without one. I'm one of those who kind of bristles when somebody says, well, I don't, my kids are out of the house, or I don't have kids. My dogs or my cats are my kids.
Yeah, that's not
not the same.
It's
not the same thing.
No,
and I think that's what personal days are for, to be honest with you.
A general PTO day.
Yeah.
But they're saying this should be a specific bereavement leave, which usually goes above and beyond that.
Yeah.
I'm not really sold on that.
Same.
When it's important to you,
I have it on all day at work.
it's on News Talk STL.
What is your message to Iran in this moment?
The world's leading terror sponsor launching its first direct military assault against Israel.
Administration has lost their capability to deter Iran.
News, analysis, opinion.
Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records.
Number one for live and local conservative talk.
Election interference, everybody knows it.
1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
What's the key to maximizing the value of your outdoor space? Satisfaction. And getting a fence or deck that exceeds expectations with the highest quality, American-made material. And working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. And adding safety and security for your family and pets to play, relax, and entertain. At STL Fenceworks, satisfaction is our core value. Doing it right the first time, standing above the competition. At STLFenceworks.com, your satisfaction is our passion.
From home improvement to replacement,
Do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Iran's president and its foreign minister have died in a helicopter crash in the mountains of northwest Iran. The BBC's Jeremy Bowen says President Ibrahim Raisi was a hardliner. He advanced Iran's nuclear ambitions, cracked down on civil liberties, and took a more militant stance toward Israel.
Raisi had many enemies. There will be plenty of people who will be very happy that he's dead. Back in the 80s, he effectively signed the death warrants for thousands of dissidents, mainly leftists. He's been involved in, as president, since 2021, in massive crackdowns. Plus, he was tipped to get the top job. And that's one good way of getting a rival, I suppose, out of the way. But we have no evidence for all of this.
The chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Court seeking arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, Israel's defense minister, as well as several Hamas leaders over actions stemming from the Gaza war. The prosecutor contends war crimes and crimes against humanity have been committed. A British court has ruled that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange can appeal an order for his extradition to the U.S. on spy charges. His website published a trove of classified U.S. documents close to 15 years ago. Parts of Kansas and Oklahoma pummeled by violent storms, including a number of confirmed tornadoes. Meanwhile, it's sweltering in Houston. Hundreds of thousands still without power and AC following last week's destructive storms there.
You know, it may be May, but it feels like the summer already here. You need access to ice, food, and water.
Tugboats being used to slowly nudge a massive cargo ship toward the port of Baltimore. The vessel that triggered the deadly Key Bridge collapse was refloated and is moving at around 1 mile per hour toward the port, which is less than 3 miles away. On Wall Street, Dow futures 20 points higher, NASDAQ futures up 23. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-355-4107 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-355-4107. That's 800-355-4107. What do you have to lose? Call 800-355-4107. Again, 800.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, boy, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. Take your family, take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. 800-407-9204. That's 800-407-9204.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, St. Charles could have 2, maybe 3 library branches shut down.
This is actually becoming a big local story, isn't it?
People are not happy about this. But one of the arguments are saying, well, the money's just not there. So let's break down what we know.
Mm-hmm.
Got some thoughts on that? Let me know. 314-912-1019. Sarah had a comment on the bereavement thing.
Yes.
So if right before the information segment, I found this story that says that there was a push. There's a writer and people trying to get employers to build in bereavement leave for their pets.
Right.
Now, I've used bereavement leave in the past when a grandparent dies, or when my dad died, and so that's pretty normal. But she's arguing that pets are family too, and you should just have time off to, assuming that if your bereavement leave is paid, you'd get paid time off to, bereave and mourn, Fluffy.
Right.
Fluffy's demise.
Right. And we talked about the emotional connection, right? Sure. I kind of brought that up. It's like, yes, there's a certain aspect of it where I can understand the idea that, you feel the same way about your pet as you would, losing Uncle Mike. But
right. Here's the thing is that we've talked in the past about us losing our humanity.
Yeah.
At some point, are we saying when we're equating our mammals, when we're equating our pets with actual children, that's a symptom of losing our humanity if we don't make that distinction? I know that's a little philosophical, but
I do think it is, because it necessarily diminishes the position of the human over the other creatures of the earth, as it were.
Yeah. Okay. So on Rumble, Buckley says, if an employer wants to do that, I wouldn't advocate for preventing that.
Sure. Well, sure.
I think I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
I don't think the government should come in there and tell you to do or not
do what you want.
He said, but I would navigate for avoiding that altogether. Having a dog is not anywhere close to having a child, and you should feel. I think he got cut off there after that. But basically, when my mom and dad had a little dog, Gizmo, and they had that dog for like 15 years, and when they finally had to put Gizmo down, that was one of the hardest things I think I saw my dad go through.
Yeah.
That was his little buddy.
Yeah.
But still, he's not going to equate that.
It's not
with
the same
with an actual child. But I also don't want to minimize, how much. I mean, right now, my wife's still in Europe. She's been in Europe the last couple of weeks. And so I've had the house to myself. I have found myself going, Mike, stop talking to the cat like you're having a conversation. I'm like, if somebody else were in this house right now, they would think I was nuts because I'm sitting there having a conversation with the cat.
Well, does she meow back though?
That's
that's the thing that counts.
She acknowledges.
That counts.
Yeah,
now,
she really does.
Stell, you brought up though, the distinction between the bereavement versus any other. It's like, why not just use the PTO?
I think so. I think personal day off, one of the opportunities that you have, if hopefully your company or your business allows you a couple of days a year for a personal day, I would think that would be the appropriate time to take one. If you have to take a vacation day, fine. I'll be honest with you. I think I probably have taken a vacation day in the past when one of our dogs had to be put down. So in that case, you might as well take advantage of those, because I don't know if many companies or businesses would be totally on board with a bereavement day or two
for a pet.
Well, and the thing is, bereavement, I think, is treated differently. Yes. There's a reason why there is a distinction between bereavement leave and your PTO or vacation or sick leave, or however your company that makes those distinctions. When they give it a title, a separate title of what it is, they treat it differently. So I don't think bereavement should count for anything other than a family member.
Well, you used to be able to call I'm sorry.
No.
So you used to be able to call an airline and say, do you have a bereavement rate?
Yeah. Yes. That's true.
And I've done that.
That's true.
When my grandmother died 25 years ago, that had bereavement rates, because there was something different about that. And then there were some places like, I was in college and somebody died. You had to bring a documentation that you were the bereavement excuse to do that. And I had one professor when I was at what was then known as CMSU, now known as University of Central Missouri. And he goes, I'm sorry to do this, but I am now going to have documentation when your grandparents die.
Right.
Or he goes, he said, I've got one student in here who's had 6 grandparents die this semester alone. So that person ruined it for the rest of them.
Yeah.
All right.
This is why we can't have nice things.
But granted, bereavement would usually be 2 or 3 days, because they know you've got
Yeah,
family
you
items to take
travel
care
and,
of.
business
Travel.
things.
You're right.
Yep.
Yeah, in
So
this case, you're just talking about mourning the loss.
Yes. Right.
And I think that's perfectly legitimate when it's a relative, but I agree with the animal. It's like, take a PTO day. That's fine.
I think at the time, I think I took a sick day because, I really just wanted to stay in bed. So it's same.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. St. Charles County. It looks like these are the library branches that could be shut down. The McClay Library in St. Charles, Deer Run in O'Fallon, and the Kisker Road location near Weldon Springs. Okay, so these are the branches that the library district says that it makes most sense to shut these down.
Right.
Just a money thing, he says.
Yeah.
So there was a meeting when was it? Last Thursday, Friday?
Couple days ago. Late last week.
Right. So CEO Jason Kuhl, KUHL, he gave this presentation.
30-minute presentation.
Yeah, 30-minute presentation. Meeting went on for about 4 hours, where he took a proposal from the St. Charles County Library District and said the library district is in some financial difficulties. And so Channel 2 and the Post-Dispatch are reporting that they're looking at shutting down, at least partially, because of the rising cost of ebooks and streaming platforms used by people. I mean, basically, he says the library spent nothing on streaming in 2015, but now spends about $50,000 to $60,000 a month to meet user demand. I don't know what that means outside of just internet connection.
Yeah, see, I don't. That's actually where my focus would be. Look,
I don't understand that.
If I'm the CEO, I'm not necessarily jumping straight to closing branches. I'm looking at why you're spending $50,000 to $60,000 a month on anything.
Right.
The only thing I can think of is trying to get behind paywalls. So you're paying subscriptions for all these magazines and newspapers,
maybe
because it's changed over the past few years.
That would, I guess, that's possible. Yeah,
there would be a lot of them, but still, that might be one of the issues that they've got to deal with.
Yeah, I don't, because if
that's
you want to read the newspaper that charges a subscription, then have your login and log in and under your name and buy your subscription.
Right.
I mean, I've got a subscription to a couple streaming things. I don't expect that to be given to me for free.
Yeah. See, and here's I guess maybe where we have our general, I won't say opposition, but our consternation, I guess, with the public library system in and of itself, where, yes, I suppose on some level you can make the case that, making these things freely available to people and, who are not so financially secure.
Right.
The library served a purpose, at least in my area, where it's okay, people who didn't have money or resources could go there to get certain things that they otherwise couldn't.
Homeschool communities love libraries.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good resource for lots of things. But when we're talking about paying $50,000 to $60,000 for some sort of streaming subscription, that's where my immediate focus. A month. That's where my immediate focus goes, as opposed to that's like paying somebody's salary, a yearly salary for a new person every month. Like
Right.
12, you just hired 12 new people.
Well, and that's part of the other discussion here. The CEO says, and I'm quoting him from the Channel 2 story here. He says, in a year or two without changes, we will be spending more to keep the doors open than we are collecting in revenue. And he says that mentioning or closing branches, reducing staff would allow the district to increase pay for the remaining employees. Because I know there's a couple jobs that are open that they haven't filled. And that's one of the things people are saying is just don't fill that. And then you can apply the savings to keeping something open. And so the proposals for the Kisker Road and Maclay branches, and Maclay, remember, that's St. Charles.
Right.
That's in St. Charles. They're talking about closing that by the end of next month.
Yeah, June 30th, I think, was they were talking about. And I think one of the points of concern that was expressed recently, I think they had recently had some public comments on some of these things, is that the Jason Gould doesn't seem to be taking into account usage, the numbers of people who use the particular branch or anything like that. He's just kind of picked these three out of a hat. And essentially that's the impression I'm getting. So it may not even necessarily be that people are opposed to a branch or some sort of downsizing essentially in the library system, but the method by which he's going about doing this may be at issue.
People are saying, where did this come from? All of a sudden we're hearing about closing down the branch in my neighborhood, and we didn't have any idea that things were that bad. So there's that aspect of it, which is one of the reasons that they're going to have to hash this out over the next 30 days, 60 days or something like that.
And if they're saying the end of June, all I'm asking is that the end of the fiscal year?
Right.
And if that's the case, then why are you waiting now till the last minute to let residents know when you should have been putting this out there for the public to comment maybe 6 months ago instead of now?
You can't put a big old idea like this out on the table and say, okay, let's vote.
Right.
It's like, whoa.
Because what they also want to do is when you look at the Deer Run location, they're talking about converting that into a warehouse. Now, let me ask this. I mean, when you look at like the streaming thing, let me go back to that.
Yeah.
My wife and I have so many books. It's ridiculous, but that doesn't even include the audio books, ebooks that she uses for her work as well, or the ones that I'll download as well. So how people consume this media, books, magazines, that sort of thing, is changing.
Yeah.
And so there's no question that it's going to streaming more than the actual paper books themselves and paper magazines themselves. But that is going to be different. But as things digitize, what role would a library still have for something? I mean, there are still, I would hope, always be a demand for physical books, for paper hard copy books. But what role is a library going to have? But whatever that role is, you don't just call a meeting and say, okay, we're going to close these down next month.
Yeah. Now, it makes me wonder. I mean, what would you say if the library system said, okay, instead of this branch, we're going to provide residents a login so that they can have streaming on their home device? Right? Is that because if the idea is simply, well, we want to provide free access to this resource,
right,
which is a book or something like that. It's like, well, here's free access to a digital copy of the book or a streaming audio of the audio version of the book. What's the difference except that you can access it from home now or on the road rather than having to go to a central location that needs to pay for electricity and water and all that.
But there's a lot of people who like the physical location.
It's true.
They like that. By the way, they're at this meeting. There were some people who said, well, just put a tax hike on the ballot. Let's raise the levy.
Oh, boy.
If you don't have enough money, then let's just bring in more money. Be really careful.
I vote against all tax hikes, by the way.
Yeah. But it is at least good. They're saying, hey, we got some financial problems here.
Yes.
Or they're on the horizon. But you can't just out of nowhere say we're going to close these next month.
Yeah. I think this particular issue seems to be one about the manner in which government deals with people and kind of handles their business, as opposed to the idea that libraries can be closed. Well, that's a possibility. I think that needs to be on the table whenever we're talking about the public systems.
Channel 4's video story on this that ran over the weekend. The CEO didn't want anything to do with talking to the media on camera.
Oh boy.
So
that's never a good thing.
My
to me.
chances of getting him on here are not great, but I'm going to try because people are worked up over this, man. I mean, still people that use them. I don't, but there are a lot of people that are. What do you
I've been in
think?
the library forever, man.
Yeah, I haven't either. 314-912-1019. This is 1019-941 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information? You want to take the place of what
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
false answers, the false impressions? Well, baby, they will last forever. Stop it right now!
Hello, News Talk STL listeners. This is Marissa Jones with Jones Air and Water Treatment. The Jones family has taken care of your air and water for 29 years, and now we are expanding to take care of your overall nutrition and wellness, too. If you are looking to take the next step towards your nutrition goals, give us a call for your free nutrition consultation today, 636-899-1040, 636-899-1040, or go to joneswater.com. You can be a filter or you can buy a filter.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Feel the sizzling heat of summer savings at Seidenstricker Nobe Partners. Rev up your summer with 0% financing for 84 months with zero down on a John Deere compact tractor. You can purchase a 1 Series tractor for less than $10 a day. It's time to elevate your equipment game with a hard-working, versatile tractor. Don't let this sizzling hot deal on compact tractors slip away. Seidenstricker Nobe, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 7/31/2024. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
News, analysis, opinion.
You know, they're literally taking the Constitution and putting it in a paper shredder.
News Talk STL.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Cady.
See you then.
Lights go out and I can't be saved. Tides that I tried to swim against.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news. The morning news stuff.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of feedback on this library thing in St. Charles, and also on this bereavement idea for your pets.
Yep.
I think we need to revisit these here later on. It's 8:21 right now. I'm Mike. Got Gabe here. Got Stell here. All right. The tinderbox that is the Middle East could be heating up some more after the death of one nation's leader. I'm telling you, folks, keep a very, very close eye in the coming days on what happens as a result of the Iranian president's death. Also, Missouri voters being asked to amend the state's constitution when it comes to voting. And it's been over 20 years, but playoff football back in St. Louis. Stick that up your whatever, Stan Crockett. All right, here we go. State media in Iran is reporting that their president, Ibrahim Raisi, has been killed in a helicopter crash. The aircraft reportedly went down near a small village called Uzi on Sunday. It took about 12 hours for them to locate the wreckage, and the drones have confirmed that is the helicopter that carried the president and some different top ministers. And so there
were no signs of life. So
signs of life, right?
Yeah. So there's a presupposition that all were killed on board or were killed.
This was an Islamic hardliner who worked very closely with the Ayatollah. Many believed was going to become the next Ayatollah in Iran, who really runs things. So this is somebody who's going to be intimately involved with, for instance, the billions of dollars the Biden administration released to Iran, which we know some of that has been either moved directly to or simply moved to make room for the money that's gone to the Houthis who have attacked Israel. So here's why I say keep a very, very close eye on this. This could very well have been a gust of wind that took down the helicopter.
Yeah,
we don't know. Within a few days or so, if I don't have any inside information, it becomes a matter of they are saying Israel or the United States did it.
Yeah.
Whether there is any truth to that whatsoever.
Because they can say what they want.
They can say whatever they want. And people are looking for a reason to go to war against Israel. And they are looking for a reason to draw the United States into that, especially now that we have a weak leader to the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know that anybody can argue that Joe Biden has an air of strength around the world. Whether even my Democratic friends have to understand that. But here's also on the flip side of that is this is going to be if Iran decides to want to start playing games, or the Houthis want to start playing games, or
more so than they already have, by the way,
or Hamas, or Taliban, or any of those in the entire region, Afghanistan, Iran, any of those right there, they war against each other. But you give them a reason to align against their common enemies, which is Israel and us.
Yes,
they're going to look for a reason to have that truce amongst themselves if they can focus on who they believe to be their true enemy.
I mean, the Houthis have already been shooting at our
Yes.
naval, craft in the Gulf area for a while now.
Yeah, because they've been allowed to.
Yeah, well, and they got money for rockets recently. I wonder where that came from.
No kidding. All right, and so this is going to be, if this were to happen, if they try to start blaming Israel or the United States, I will be really surprised if Iran says, "Hey, boy, we're going to miss our guy, but darn it, that wind just blew him into the mountain." This is an opportunity to try to move things toward a shooting war.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing. They really desire that.
Oh, they want it.
They really want it. They don't operate in the same way as Western nations do.
Right.
They don't think of things like self-preservation the same way we do.
Yeah. They think of martyrdom.
Yes.
And so watch for that. This would be the most delicate, heaviest diplomatic lift of the Biden administration. And as Americans, we should be hoping and praying for success, even if we are not supporters of the president. At this point, we need him to do a good job diplomatically, do a moral job, do another. Do I think he's up for the task? No, I don't think he is.
Yeah, I'm not hopeful.
But I hope that he is successful in negotiating through this.
Yeah, and let me repeat what I said earlier about this story. Do not for 1 second think that it is a moral position to want Joe Biden to fail in his diplomacy to keep us out of World War III just because you want that to be around his neck come November.
Right.
That is an absolutely immoral position. The same energy you had against Bill Maher when he said he hoped the Trump economy failed so he can get Joe Biden in. Just keep that same energy for those who are going to say something on the right about this, in the wrong direction.
And if and when he is wrong, then we absolutely call him out over it.
Absolutely.
But my hope is that we have a bright moment of diplomacy, and he has a good couple of days cognitively,
Yeah,
and where
seriously.
he's able to provide leadership through this. I don't know that he's up to that. I don't think he is, but we should be hoping for the right reasons for the right things.
Fingers crossed.
All right. President Biden, speaking of, delivered the commencement address at Morehouse College in Atlanta on Sunday. Morehouse College being a historically black college. He was kind of a buffet of
gas.
Yeah. Well, it was just,
It was deliberate.
It was deliberate. It
Absolutely.
Was,
Just that. Hey, by the way, it's, I know I was, this is 2024, but you have to believe that it's 1964. America hates you still,
Right.
or, there's no way for you to get by because everybody wants to keep you from succeeding and blah, blah, blah. And I hear you, by the way. I hear
right.
you.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in a second. But basically, he didn't actually say, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
I even might as well have.
He might as well have said that.
Yes, absolutely.
And the thing is, the previous president made a huge commitment to HBCUs.
Oh,
You know,
God,
Trump
yes,
made a
yeah.
commitment at 10 years. We're going to supply such and such money to all of these historically black colleges nationwide. And everybody seems to forget about that. But Trump did that back then.
Largest and longest lasting commitment by any president, by the way.
Yeah. And so he also addressed the rise in protest around the country, especially on college campuses. And I'm talking about the pro-Hamas, pro-terrorism ones. And here's what he had to say.
I want to say this very clearly. I support peaceful nonviolent protest. Your voices should be heard. And I promise you I hear them.
I promise you I hear them.
I promise you I hear them. In other words, now he did to be fair, point out specifically peaceful, nonviolent protest. Of course, what the left calls nonviolent and peaceful is what I call nonviolent and peaceful. Maybe two different things.
There's probably a little more fire in their peaceful protest.
But
mostly peaceful.
Peaceful
But
protest.
for instance, they look at occupying somebody else's property or streets as peaceful.
That's true. They've said as much.
Right. Yeah. They think that, it's for instance, at SLU and at Wash U, like, how could you possibly treat protesters like that? They were peaceful until the cops showed up and enforced property rights. No, that's not peaceful.
They have stated that property destruction even is still peaceful because nobody got hurt.
Right. And it's a very small leap logically to, well, that guy had an Israeli flag, so me hitting him doesn't count as violence. I mean,
because I was just trying to take the property out of his hands. That's all.
So essentially the president validated all of the anti-Semitic nonsense that's going on.
Absolutely did.
Yeah.
They're all going to take that as a positive.
They're going to take it as, hey, we won.
He's on our side.
Keep going. And he wants to win them back on that fringe left, that fringe anti-Semitic left.
Yeah. And I think it always comes back around to him making the comment about, well, we'd like a two-state solution. In my mind, his thought of a two-state solution is Michigan and Minnesota.
Pretty much.
That's his two-state solution to this thing because he wants those votes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Let's see here. Missouri voters are going to decide whether to ban ranked choice voting in the state. Now, that's a constitutional amendment question going to be on your ballot. I don't know if it's going to be August or November. That hasn't been set yet. If it is passed by voters, ranked choice voting, sometimes called approval voting, would be illegal except in the city of St. Louis, which already uses ranked choice voting. The ballot measure makes that exception if the process is already in use, which is what's happening in St. Louis, and is technically nonpartisan, which is also the case in St. Louis elections as well. But for the rest of the state, it would be banned and paper ballots would be the actual law. All of these things are actually the current practice in the state, but this would elevate them to the constitutional level to say this is how governments may operate. This is how they may not operate when it comes to our elections.
Right.
Okay, a couple quick sports notes here real quick. Cardinals get the series win, but they did not get the sweep. After winning the first two games against the Red Sox over the weekend, the Redbirds lost the final game 11-3. Orioles are in town, start a 3-game series. Sonny Gray gets the start tonight. First pitch is at 6:45. And the Battlehawks, baby, clinched their spot in the UFL playoffs this weekend. Sunday's 26-21 win over the Defenders without A.J. McCarron because he was hurt, so our backup guy did it. They guarantees them a place in the XFL Conference Championship next month against the San Antonio Brahmas. Coach Anthony Beck saying great team win. Battlehawks are on the road to play the Renegades on Saturday before wrapping up the regular season at home against the Brahmas. And then they're going to turn around on the 9th and play the Brahmas.
Yes, and we're not sure where.
We don't know yet. Yeah. And then the winner of that game goes on to the UFL Championship, which is being held at the Dome.
So cool.
On the 16th.
It's entirely possible we could have 3 back-to-back games at the Dome.
Wouldn't that be awesome? 32,000 people showed up to the game on Sunday morning. There. All right. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Warm weather continues today. I'm forecasting a high of 89, but we could certainly hit 90. We've also got a weak weather disturbance passing overhead. That could trigger an isolated strong storm or two this afternoon, but coverage is limited. Chances only about 20%. Dry and warm tonight as we dip down to 71, and then a record-tying 93 Tuesday afternoon. And once that sun goes down Tuesday evening, watch for a line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in from the northwest. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
Fox News commentary.
President Biden is reclassifying marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug under federal law because he really needs voters. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
When you can't run on your record, your economy, your foreign policy, your likability, or your cognitive abilities, you turn to weed, abortion, and student loans as the focus of your platform. That is precisely what Joe Biden's failing campaign has turned to. President Biden recently moved to reclassify marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 drug under federal law. Joe claims he made this change to confront the failed war on drugs and address inequities in the justice system. But really, this is another vote grab. Joe's campaign doesn't have much to go on, so they pick the lowest hanging fruits: student loan freebies, abortion free-for-alls, and weed. We still don't know the long-term consequences of marijuana use, but Democrats and Joe Biden, they don't care. They need something to energize a dwindling base, and this is the easiest way to do it. So sad. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Greece is cheap,
but the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Like Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
Your everlasting summer, you can see it fading fast. So
And we're getting a lot of discussion on this library thing in St. Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, it turning into a discussion about libraries overall, right?
Yeah,
Just-
it really
just
kind of is.
usage and what it means.
Okay, see, that's a good point, because there's really a couple layers to this already. And if you're just joining us, kind of at the end of last week, it was kind of sprung on people that the St. Charles County Library District is looking at closing 3 branches.
Yeah. CEO Jason Kuhl just kind of gave this 30-minute presentation. I'm assuming it was specifically about the financial challenges that he sees on the horizon due to rising costs of the type of services that they're providing.
But he kind of said, oh, by the way, we're having financial troubles. We're going to close a couple of these next month.
Yeah. Let's take a vote right now.
And so people were like, whoa, hold on here.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at a lot of the discussion that's coming in online here, and there are aspects of this, I think, that those who use the libraries for the right reasons are getting screwed here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll get in a second. But what we're talking about here is the McClay Library branch in St. Charles, Deer Run branch in O'Fallon, which they want to turn into a warehouse and phase out, and the Kisker Road branch near Weldon Springs. And they're talking about Kisker Road and McClay shutting them down literally next month. And so people are like, whoa, and so it's one thing for the CEO to come in and say, listen, here are the money problems that we've got here. Here's what we're forecasting. We just got to make changes. Listen, that's all well and good. You can do that. but you don't walk in and say, I've decided we're going to close branches, and taxpayers in St. Charles are going, hold on. Does that mean I don't get to pay the taxes anymore? No, it does not.
No.
And then somebody at the meeting suggested putting another tax levy on the ballot, which I would be absolutely against, because if you're not managing the money well on this, why are you just taxing people more to pay for something the market's not delivering? But we've also got a lot of people on social media right now who are kind of going through, hey, remember all of these library controversies we're seeing all over the country, drag queen story hour,
right.
I mean, the
big displays
celebrating
with the books.
and books and LGBT book. So all of the things that public libraries, and remember, the head of the Library Association in Missouri, pretty much an avowed socialist,
yes,
by their own
admission,
by their own proclamation.
Well, yeah,
not
even admission. Yeah, they're proud of it. Yeah,
and you've got those running for office in Missouri talking about taking back control of the library system. Although it's very, very limited what the Secretary of State's office, for instance, could do, or the governor's office could do. And then you've also got the fact that many times the public library is being ruined for people, say the family that wants to bring in their kids during the summer or during the weekends or after school or whatever, the homeschoolers want to use it. In many areas, it's ruined because you just get some derelict who just wants to look at porn for free. And the ACLU will sue the crap out of you if you tell the derelict you can't look at porn in there,
right,
because they're going to say it's free speech. And that has actually happened to where libraries have had to accommodate that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of crazy what the libraries have been doing lately. But all on top of that, though, is the fact that these libraries, especially the ones we're discussing now, appear to be very popular for more vanilla reasons, like the use of streaming services, and now that's actually become a point of contention here. As stated from the story we were reading from earlier, the library spent nothing on streaming in 2015, but is now spending $50,000 to $60,000 a month.
Wow.
Based on for these streaming services based on user demand. Now what are
you spending $60,000 a month on?
What are you doing? It's like,
I mean, what streaming costs you that much money?
Netflix Super Premium. It's like I don't even know what you're getting for that.
I mean, and honestly,
and why at the library?
I mean, I can't think of a single reason that a free Netflix or Hulu should be at the library.
Right.
Now, there are streaming services, I'm sure, that are educational.
Sure.
I mean, if it's Discovery Plus, because you want, okay, I mean, I can see an argument, for that, although I don't think it's taxpayers' job to give you a login for Discovery Plus.
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Well, and I also go to the fact, like, wait, I thought libraries were just supposed to be the repositories of the written word, essentially.
But to be fair, the repository now is in the cloud.
And that's true.
Yeah.
That's
so
true.
a library is an access point for the information.
For knowledge,
so what's the best way to manage that access point? And right now in St. Charles in the district, there are people who are saying that's where the rub is. That's where the debate is, because when you look at the actual physical location, and I have not been to a public library in years. Occasionally in years past, there would be a political meeting or a community group meeting, and they would rent out the meeting room and all that sort of thing. Okay, I've been there, but the last time I actually went to check out a magazine or a book or a newspaper, I don't remember the last time.
It's been years for me. Back in the day, before streaming services were ubiquitous and things like that, and everything was online. I did get books on tape. Like literally on tape.
You're old.
Yeah. No, okay. Oh, there's one book. It was on CD, and I listened to the CD, and I did this while I was, on the treadmill or something like that. So
I remember checking out cassettes and CDs, like music cassettes. I mean, I like checked out. I remember years and years and years ago, like in the Columbia, when I lived in Columbia in college. That checking out like a heavy metal CD from the library.
Yeah, I know.
Which then I would just go and like dub it onto my cassette tape and bring it back.
Now, one thing I thought was really weird, but I took full advantage of it, was the fact that you could borrow movies and video games from the public library. And once I realized that was a thing, I was like, okay, we're not spending money, but hey, honey, youngin, we're not spending money on movies and video games anymore. We're getting all of our, if it's not at the library, we're not going to do it. We'll just wait till it shows up at the library.
But let's also talk about how much has changed over the years. I remember when I was little, and I'm talking, first, second, third grade. I'm living in Decatur, Illinois.
Okay.
And it was Decatur, but the library was in Mount Zion in the district, which is a suburb of Decatur there. And going to the library was like a big treat for my brother and I. My mom had to limit how many books we were allowed to check out.
Yes.
I've never thought of suburban Decatur, by the way.
I know, but Mount Zion's right there.
I know. I've never thought of it that way.
But it's attached, just a little town. So we lived in the Decatur city limits, but everything we were in was in the Mount Zion district. And so, but my mom would tell my brother and I, we're like, no, you can have like, I don't know, 2 or 3 or whatever. And then, of course, we have to have them back. And that's how we learned time. One of the ways that she taught us time management. You had the little thing in the back where you had to sign it out and put the date on it.
You get it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, got it for 2 weeks. And if we were late or we forgot, that money came out of my allowance, and they made me hand the dimes over so I could, learn the consequences of that. And at that time in the 1970s, 1980s, I don't think there's really much question as to the value of a library.
Oh yeah. The summer reading list you'd get, as a kid, you'd go through those, and then you'd get a pizza party or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah. I was all over those.
But at this point right now, part of the problem that I'm sure they're having is that not as many people use them, or people are simply demanding more services through the library, and it hasn't been funded accordingly, or they haven't cut accordingly in other areas.
Mission creep, basically, is what
a lot of
has
mission
happened.
creep.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the day when you had to do a report, like a very comprehensive report, I had to go to the library to do research.
Right.
I had to find all the books on the subject. I had to do you had to use the freaking Dewey Decimal System in order to find the books on medieval fortresses or whatever the heck I was writing a report on, and then I would get all the books and I'd sit there with them, or I'd borrow some and I'd have to bring them back. All that stuff was very, very useful for having a library. But once you had Google, it's like, okay, I'm just going to look up medieval fortresses. Okay, here are the pictures of medieval fortresses. Here's a discussion about them. Here's a podcast of a guy who visited 47 of them, across Europe, and he describes all the things. And here's a documentary that's free on YouTube that I can watch. What am I going to the library for?
Right. Okay, so that's not the conversation that apparently was led the other night.
No.
When they were talking about, basically it was the CEO all of a sudden saying, we're going to shut down that one, and that one. And people are going, whoa, back up there, Sparky.
And by the sounds of it, it seems like basically he lined them up on a dartboard and he threw darts. And he's like, okay, those are the 3 that we're getting rid of, because he didn't seem to take into account, the number of customers it uses, or the location relative to the population around it. And the things that we usually go into determining whether you're going to close a branch of something or other.
Yeah. And there's no feedback that was taken from that. So
not at all.
Now this has been tabled. There's another meeting, it looks like tomorrow, where people are obviously going to be up in arms on this. And I don't know why he thought he was just going to spring this on people.
Like, by the way, I'm going to close 3 of these branches, and hey, let's vote on it now.
Oh, school just got out. You were planning to, take your kids to the library twice a week, 3 times. We're going to shut that one down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not only are we going to vote on it now, but the plan is to shut it down June 30th.
Yeah, literally June 30th.
It's like, whoa, hold the phone. What is happening?
So none of this has been done right.
No.
Even if they say, no, we've got a good financial plan.
Yeah.
It still wasn't done right, because you blindsided 3 communities in St. Charles County.
And the board.
The board didn't even know.
They got the 30-minute presentation and were asked to vote.
They're like go,
that meeting.
Go get a thesaurus. What's another way to say, what the hell, dude? let me look this through. Wait a minute, we don't have a thesaurus anymore?
No, exactly. I hear there's a building where you're supposed to have a few of those.
Yes, you would think.
And what also hurts is you would hate to see a building like the city library downtown.
Oh, the beautiful
on Olive. You would hate to see that one closed or minimized, because it's gone through a beautiful rehab renewal job over the last few years. Same thing with the one in Chicago. And oddly enough, my hometown library in Lombard just downsized. They wrecked the original one, Helen M. Plum Memorial Library. They downsized it into what essentially used to be a supermarket in town. Golly, that hurts. But it's where we're at.
I'd say make them into lofts, but nobody wants to move there. especially in downtown St. Louis.
Like, I don't want to go there.
No. St. Charles, you could probably find some real estate there on
If
it.
you build it, they still
I
won't
know.
come.
Got some thoughts on it? Let me know. 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Have you had enough of mine? Are you reeling in the years? Stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
You've been telling me you're a genius since you were 17. And all the time I've known you, I still don't know what you mean. The weekend at the college didn't turn out like you planned. The things that pass for knowledge I can't understand.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
Here's a home run and the Cardinals lead it 1-0. Walker bombs one over the right field wall.
Kick off your summer at Busch Stadium on Saturday, June 8th with the Cardinals and the Rockies. That day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will leave with their very own bobblehead of a St. Louis favorite. He was acquired from the Rockies back in 2004, Larry Walker. This unique bobblehead is sponsored by the Shane Company and will be a great addition to your bobblehead collection. That's Saturday, June 8th. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Hey kids, you will not want to miss the Cardinals one-of-a-kind jersey giveaway coming up on Sunday, June 9th. That day, the Cardinals host the Rockies, and 10,000 kids ages 15 and younger entering with a ticket will take home their very own neon Cardinals jersey, thanks to High Chew. That's not all. Following the game, kids 15 and younger can participate in the High Chew Kids Run the Bases. For tickets or more details, visit cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Sonny Gray, St. Louis Cardinals, for the Lou.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
What new chaos and crises did Joe Biden start over the weekend? We'll discuss at 425 with former U.S. Senator Jim Talent. Red State Headlines at 525 with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
The fighting spirit of the Marine Corps is born of battles won. Battles won within, over enemies of fear, enemies of doubt. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's a promise made to you for more than 2 centuries. A promise of the Marines.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Hey, Gabe, let's put that story up on the social media.
Okay.
The library closing.
Oh, the library
Man,
one?
do we have a lot
All
of people have a lot of thoughts on this. A lot of people. Because, I mean, libraries used to be used for but they were truly a center of a community.
Mm-hmm.
And either the libraries haven't done as good of a job marketing themselves in that way, but they just caught everybody off guard in St. Charles County. Let's put that up and love to get your thoughts on that. By the way, kickoff Memorial Day weekend at the ballpark. Cardinals host the Chicago Cubs May 24th through the 26th, and the tickets for this divisional showdown start at only $15. Great seats remain. Imagine that right now. Get yours today at cardinals.com. Turns out there are still a lot of good seats left.
It's a holiday weekend series.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Tony got an email about the whole library thing. I don't know if we got a second for it.
Sure.
But just a listener said, hey, look, when I visit there are normally 3 people at the front desk. Last visit, one was knitting, one was Googling something, and not sure what number 3 was doing. They are helpful if you walk up, but I check my books out myself 90% of the time. They are full-time employees. Maybe fewer employees would help.
That's one of the things that they're actually talking about.
Yeah.
Is fewer employees because apparently the employees, when you do the comparison with other similar size library districts, they're paid less in St. Charles than where they want to be. But you can't say we're going to give everybody 5, 10, 15, 20% raise and at the same time you're closing down branches. That just doesn't work.
And another email in terms of usage. After retirement, I have started reading many more books and use, now this is St. Louis County libraries, but still the idea being that, hey, these resources are being used by people. So there's a lot of arguments
on both sides.
To discuss. Yeah.
I mean, I just go on Amazon, I see a book, I buy the book. I mean, that's what I do. But some people want to buy it and bring it back, and
I look for a free version I can listen to because I can't sit still long enough to read anymore.
Oh, man.
It's just gone.
Okay, so a lot of comments on that. We're going to put that up on News Talk STL social media.
Find
Let's
a good story.
keep that conversation going. Let's do that. Also, by the way, don't forget, I did forget to mention this earlier. News Talk STL's app. That is where you can take us everywhere. I had somebody just the other day saying, hey, Mike, what I keep trying to find you. Well, he was in an area where 94.1 is very, very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept trying to listen to 101.9 on the other side of the metro area. So the app will take care of all of that. Just download it. It's in all the app stores. Very, very easy. Okay. We also got a lot of comments on this pet bereavement.
Yes, that's another one.
Whether or not, now I'm not talking about whether government should regulate. I think the government should stay out of it.
Absolutely.
It's not their business.
Do not mandate anything.
But we've gotten to a point where people are equating the loss of a pet with like another loss in your life, of a family member or something. So far, generally people have said, no, but there are a lot of people who think that way and said, I should have employers, if they want to compete for employees, they should offer bereavement leave for pets.
And it feels as though it's the same people who refer to themselves as pet parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like these are my kids. Like I don't have any kids, but these are my kids. Or I'm an empty nester, but my dog Buster is my kid. It's like no.
Yeah,
no.
It's not. And that's, I mean, listen, I have always really like my pets.
We're critter lovers here.
I love the critters.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first pet?
Yes. His name was Logan.
Logan. Okay.
Yes. And he was the second dog I lost, recently, because my first and second pet, Logan, first I got him as a puppy. And then a week later I got Brutus, my dream dog. And I lost them in reverse order. Brutus went first, and then Logan. Those are the two dogs I just talked about. Those are my first pets, first house pets.
And it's not that doesn't hit hard.
Oh,
you're so attached to it.
Huge. But I was not expecting it to hit as hard as it did. Actually,
you remember your first pet? Your first pet, still?
I do, and I did not have pets as a kid. So Kathy did grow up with dogs. I did not. So when we got our first dog a week after we got married, or maybe a couple of weeks, at a gas station outside Chicago, driving back with some furniture from my parents.
So you saw a puppy in a box or something?
And no, actually, the guy came up to our car and said, "Would you like a puppy to take home?" And Kathy's looking at me, and I didn't grow up with dogs. Why are you looking at me to make the decision? So would you like to take the puppy home? And I said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So,
well, did he have it there, like in his hands, in your face?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Ambi was about.
You can't say no to the little face.
No, not
That's
at all.
Not fair.
And it was a Beagle Shepherd mix. And a great dog that we had for years, named her Ambrosia after the band, and called her Ambi for short. And like you, we got our next dog maybe a couple months later. We got our Irish setter.
Yeah.
And those two were together for years.
Yeah.
And then when they passed away, that was tough
on
me. And then we continued to get Gordon setters after that. But boy, the first one, when Ambi passed away, yikes, that was rough.
Yeah.
I remember when I was really little, so I would have been like kindergarten, first, second grade. No, actually would have been kindergarten era or before, because I was still living in Pittsfield.
Wow.
Which is, just east of where we are now.
Little 5-year-old Mike with his big old baseball glove running around.
That's right. And it was a little
big old mitt.
It was a little Shih Tzu dog, and it had the hair. And my parents made the mistake of letting me and my brother, who were probably 4 and 5 at the time, name the dog. I don't remember whether it was Chris's idea or my idea, my brother Chris. And we ended up naming the dog Peaky, because it would have to, we were constantly cutting the bangs of the dog, because it kept having to peek out. And so to our little child brain, brains, Peaky, because he had to peek out.
He had to peek.
So that was the first pet that I remember.
Yeah.
I may have had one we may have had one when I was a baby.
Did you remember losing him?
Just the funny part is, no, my parents must have sheltered me from that. I do not remember that.
But Peaky went off to the farm.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't remember that, but that would have been devastating for a kid. But is it the same? No.
Same as losing a family member?
No, I don't think so.
Sorry.
No. They're part of the household.
There you go.
Sure.
Take a sick day.
Argue with me. Let's go.
agree,
I think conservatives have it wrong.
or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
So I want to hear what people are thinking and be able to talk about it.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
Hey, everybody, it's Rob Carter. Mike and Beverly Sloan are the visionary minds behind Living the Elite Life, a coaching program that extends their expertise to empower others in the realms of mindset, fitness, health, sobriety, and relationships. If you need just a little push to make your life a lot better, give them a call, 636-248-9799, or email beverlysloan1@gmail.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there's a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown?